I don't actually know how to introduce this one.
Do you want me to say something, or?
No, I just need to get my brain in gear. Hold on.
That's the sound of a man slapping his brain.
That's the sound of a man slapping my brain into energy. Okay.
It's also Scrote Sunday, so he's slapping his scrote at the same time.
Oh, good call.
Scrote Sunday, lads.
Bad call. I'm just still thinking about, like, I just can't get the cum socks out of my mind.
And also arrives
Close.
socks.
I'm not
I can't
proud
get them
that
out of my drawer.
participated there.
Cum
I'm not-
socks- I get it.
shouldn't be a thing. Just use paper tissues like a
No, dude,
civilized
they're-
person.
they're-
It
crusted
costs
so
a lot of
much
money
in-
to... Do you know how many trees I would fell per year
Yeah.
if I used tissues instead of cum socks?
Cum socks are the vegan alternative, effectively. As long as they're not wool.
I'm actually serious. I don't know why cum socks are a thing for anyone.
It's so easy, man. It's already on your foot, you know. All you gotta do is slip it off, have
Be
a
worse.
wank, slip it back on when you're done.
Again, cum
Oh.
Jonathans are
Cum
the
Jonathans.
advanced form of the cum sock.
Could be worse. It could be that guy on
A
Reddit with the cum
Jonathan
box.
being a long john.
The cum box.
Look.
That's what you gotta use if you got a really big dick.
Okay. Dear future historians, if you're listening to this, it's 2020. Right now, everybody's still alive. We still have the internet, which is bad. We still have electricity, which I'm
It's
so on. You're in favor of electricity? Okay.
Yeah, I
whatever.
couldn't play video games without
Yeah,
that.
I like that. Yeah.
Some people in like normal countries have been able to go outside and do stuff. Many of us have been stuck in lockdown and or are about to enter more lockdowns. And so I've been doing that thing I used to do where I pick up video games and then play them at least most of the way through. And this is a special podcast that we're doing to talk about those games. First off on the list is arbitrarily Pikmin 2. Go! You got 10 minutes.
So me and Bran have been playing, not exactly Pikmin 2, but Pikmin 2 ROM hacks. I don't know if there's been like a major development in the scene to allow this. Bran's probably got more of the background info on it than me, so do you know why there's so many Pikmin hacks suddenly flourishing?
I'm frankly not sure. What I do know is that like Pikmin 251 is kind of like a sequel-ish kind of hack. It came out like a year ago, and then Colossal Caverns came out like a few months ago. And there's another big one that's currently in the works. I've just in general seen a lot of GameCube hacks in the past like few years, so I'm guessing there's been some sort of major developments on that side that's allowed this kind of stuff to happen.
Pikmin 251, like you said, is a sequel kind of to Pikmin 2, and it's just Pikmin 2 but with more stuff and like new stuff, is what I'd say. And it works surprisingly well because I like Pikmin 2, so playing Pikmin 2 but more is really fun. And it's got like fully integrated co-op in it as well, so I played through it with my friend Tom. We didn't finish it because it gets really hard towards the end, but yeah, it's just kind of neat to be able to do the same stuff but in slightly new environments and things.
I've made it a habit to play Pikmin 2 like once a year, and so this year I played 251 instead, and it's a really fresh experience. It's like still the same core game, but just they tweaked a lot of balance, and there's just more caves and more everything. There's like brand new environments and brand new, well, I guess not brand new enemies, more so like buffed versions of previous enemies.
You've got to kind of
it's
think a lot more, is what I'd say about it. Like, you can't rush in. In Pikmin 2, it's so easy to just like rush in with all your Pikmin, chuck them at the enemy, and it's dead. In Pikmin 251, I was like, right, let's leave the Pikmin at base, take like the 5 I need, and then run around to make enemies shoot rocks at each other so that they kill each other rather than me kill them, and then quickly grab the groink and get it to the fucking ship so it doesn't come back to life. That's kind of the experience with 251.
I guess the only main complaint I had with 251 is that they introduced orange Pikmin and they're like horribly underutilized. They're like
they used
showing
in
up.
like one cave.
I think I saw them in 2 caves.
Yeah, and do they replace Bulbmin? Is that what he's done? Replace Bulbmin? Or...
No, Bulbmin are still in the game, but they act like Bulbmin in that they can't leave a cave.
Yeah.
But they're just immune to explosions.
Yeah, it's the wrong way to do a new Pikmin type because it doesn't add anything new to the game. It's just like, here's another elemental resistance, basically. I think the more fun Pikmin hack that we've been playing though is Colossal Caverns, which Bran's gotten really into and is now like top 10 leaderboard man, absolutely blazing it. It's a mod that puts every item in Pikmin 2 in a randomly generated cave structure that's absolutely enormous, and the goal is just to get all the treasures back to your ship, and it's really fun because it's just procedurally generated Pikmin.
It's almost so since all the treasures there's also every boss. And since there's the treasures that the bosses drop that give you like power-ups, it's like almost like a roguelite in a sense, where that like as you progress you're getting like stronger and more abilities. And by one cave, it's like one cave floor, not like a cave system of multiple floors. So you just got this giant layout that there's like several billion different like combinations, and it's based on like a seed structure. So if you want to like race somebody on a set seed, you can do that, or you can just do random seeds. It's honestly a lot of fun. I've always been very interested in the idea of speedrunning Pikmin, but I never really got into it because like Pikmin 1 is a little too jank for my taste. Pikmin 2 is a little too long of a speedrun, and Pikmin 3 is also like a very glitch heavy speedrun. So Colossal Caverns is like that perfect marriage for me because it basically takes the entire game of Pikmin 2 and just condenses it into one cave. And so it's all about like managing your resources and routing with a little bit of luck involved. Some seas are clearly better than others, but it's honestly a lot of fun.
So in terms of like, I play it casually, and again, I've been playing it mostly co-op with my friend Tom, and like our runs take hours, but it's very fun even as a casual player, just to see how far you can get, how many treasures you can get, and it's not too difficult as long as you're being a little bit smart about what you're doing. What it gives me sort of thought about is the fact that if Nintendo did something like this with Pikmin, it could be really fun, and taking the like roguelike element to a new level where if every item gave your captain like a specific power up, like maybe a stat buff or something, then that would be really interesting, I think, because the only power-ups that really do anything in Pikmin 2 are you get like the Power Fist, which isn't too useful. You get the Sleeping Bag, which is great for getting you back to base in the giant caverns, actually, so that's quite nice. You get the item, the Half Globe, that lets your Pikmin go faster, and then it's a couple of items that like make it so you're resistant to electricity and stuff. So it's not that impactful, but if every item was tied to like, now you can move faster, or now you can, I don't know, throw Pikmin slightly further, and then kind of add a little bit of a Metroidvania-ish element to it. I don't know, I've got lots of thoughts about how you could just do something cool with this.
Being able to take it further like that could be really cool. And I know there's like, I talk regularly with the developer, and he's got ideas for other stuff to add. Like there's the potential to add, like once you get a certain number of treasures, then the remaining ones start showing up on your map. But I definitely agree. Like the Metroid, this is almost like this light Metroidvania aspect, and it kind of already exists, where like you have to find onions, and you have to find like bulbmin, and you have to find purple and white flowers, which all are kind of necessary to progress.
Definitely, yeah. So you start off with a few of each Pikmin type, which means you can like send them off to try and find their onion and then just follow them around. But until you get the onions, you're kind of locked out because you need more Pikmin to pick up the heavier treasures. So there is definitely an element of like, I need to progress. I need to do things in a certain order to be able to like find more stuff in the dungeon.
Yeah, sometimes you'll see like a giant room full of water and be like, well, because you only start 25 of each color, so you're like, well, I can't really go here until I get to the blue onion. Oh, but the blue onion is being guarded by like, I don't know, the water wraith, and I can't kill the water wraith until I get purple, so I gotta like find purple. So
there's like firewalls in between you and like the blue onion, so you got to get all your red Pikmin because you've already found the red onion, and then you can sort of take that out. Or there's like a boss that you'll need a specific sort of Pikmin to beat, like the water wraith, like you said. So, but It's really fun. I'd say anyone who likes Pikmin, download it, give it a try. It runs kind of well on Dolphin. Don't play in widescreen. Don't turn the widescreen hack on. Those tend to kind of mess with it. We'll stick a link to the hacking Discord in the show notes so that you can find it if you want to. But they're both really fun, and especially Colossal Caverns for me is great.
The next game on our list is Command & Conquer Remastered. We'll give it 5 minutes with some breathing room. Go.
Excellent. Just a great fucking remaster of a game that does not have an attack move command.
Oh god, yeah, that was a stark realization. I thought it was just because when I first played Command & Conquer, it was on the PlayStation 1, so I wouldn't have had any of these fancy like Control A or anything like that. But no, there is just no attack move, and it's really jarring.
Yeah, no. I thought I was bad at it because I was a kid, and it turns out it's the game itself.
Yeah, no. Honestly, one of my favorite things about Command & Conquer is the remaster is the new intro opening sequence of it installing and upgrading itself, and I don't know, something about that just really tickled me, and it really made me happy.
It's an awesome like kind of like 90s-ish way of like jerking yourself off. The cinematics in general, there's times where like the AI upscaling looks like really good. Like it's like, oh wow, hey, that's like a lot of fidelity you're bringing to it. And then there's other times where it's like those Google Deep Dream things where like you'll just catch a dog's face somewhere.
It looks kind of Vaseline-y to me, but considering what they started with, it's very good.
Oh yeah, and it's fine to have like a weird grease stain as Stalin's chest hair.
I didn't play the remaster. I can only speak of my experience on the original game, but it was the first RTS game I ever played. Therefore, I didn't notice or wouldn't have noticed anything jank about it compared to other RTS games that I played later that were better.
Yeah. StarCraft was out around the same time and is just in like a million different ways better.
StarCraft has aged like fine wine, but I think StarCraft was a couple of years after, I'm going to say. Like maybe 1 year, maybe 2 years. Moogle isn't here, but I got to watch Moogle froth at the mouth with respect to the pathfinding, which has apparently not been upgraded at all.
No, everything has been completely preserved. Oh yeah, no, StarCraft was 2 years afterwards. Yeah,
there you go.
No, that was the 90s. I think people were a little bit less neurotic about like release dates and paying attention to them at the time. Yeah.
But like with RTS, it was like Dune 2 came out in the early 90s. A couple years later, that was the first game in the genre, basically. Then a couple years later, Command & Conquer came out, which is like the seminal game in the genre. And then a couple years after that, you just got like StarCraft and Age of Empires, and that was it, basically. The entire genre was created, flourished, and then evolved to its final form in the space of about 6 years.
Yes. And then there is a brief like thing where like Company of Heroes, I would say, like made a decent enough splash in it, but like it never really came back.
Real-time tactics.
Oh, like even with like Company of Heroes, like when they were doing like the expansions, they tried to do like a MOBA mode. Like it had already the genre had already like you're basically gonna go city building if you want any kind of similar sort of top-down kind of organizational thing.
That's all we have to say on the Command & Conquer Remaster. The next game on our list is Risk of Rain 2.
Me and Moogle just played some, actually.
We did.
I haven't played it recently, but I did play the beta, and I spent quite a few hours with it. Risk of Rain 2 is delightful.
It's one of those wonderful games where it starts in 2D with Risk of Rain 1, and then you don't imagine that they're going to bring out a sequel, let alone try and make a 3D one, but they managed to nail 3D gameplay of the original just without almost effortlessly, it feels.
It's a really, in my opinion, a red flag sometimes when an indie developer is like, we're going to make a big 3D action game after making a 2D game. I didn't expect it to be good, But as it turns out, pretty much every aspect of that game works so much better in 3D. Like the movement and like avoiding the enemies and herding the enemies is just feels great in 3D.
I agree. Like when I first saw screenshots of the game, I was like, "Is this a fan mod?" And then I found out it was a real thing, and I was like, "That's not going to work. Like, how can you do Risk of Rain in 3D?" And then I bought it very early in its alpha, and it was already good. And they've just been adding more stuff over the last year and a half or whatever since it's been out. And there's loads of characters to play as, at least as many as in the original, if not more. There's different ways to build your characters. You unlock different skill sets for them by like completing achievements. So there's reasons to go back and play even after you've finished the game to sort of unlock new stuff. It sort of has new items to unlock as you progress for doing certain challenges as well, and it just keeps you playing, keeps you interested, keeps you hooked.
I mean, structurally, it is just the same as Risk of Rain, and all the gameplay choices are the same as Risk of Rain.
Yeah.
It's just in 3D. Not to undersell the 3D aspect of it, I could not go back to Risk of Rain 1 now.
I'm going to try soon, I think. I'm going to see how it goes.
I prefer it to Risk of Rain 1, definitely. And as someone who doesn't really like roguelikes very much, like there's only a couple I can really stomach, Risk of Rain is Risk of Rain 2 is one of my favorite games, I think, even. I've got like 80 hours in this one in like a year, which is quite significant for me. Still loads of stuff to do and unlock. But yeah, there's loads of ways to modify your runs as well. You got 3 difficulty levels. You've got artifacts you can unlock to sort of spice things up. Me and Moogle just played a run that's got like we made it so you can pick whatever item you want when you get it from a chest, but we turned off chests and made it so enemies will randomly drop items, and a doppelganger will appear that has all of your perks and skills like every 10 minutes. So you got to take them out or get absolutely destroyed. Like, it was very fun. It was good. But there's loads of ways you can challenge yourself with it, like challenge runs and different things. There's the progression system. Yeah, it is like Risk of Rain 1. Like, you'll get teleported to a random set of one or the other levels each time you sort of go through the teleporter. I guess for people who haven't played Risk of Rain 1, we haven't really described what the game is. You kind of shoot stuff. It's
an enemy management game, basically. The whole time you're playing, shitloads of baddies are spawning in, and the skill of the game is as much in like knowing how to move and strategize as it is in actually being skilled at taking them down.
It's like, what do I kill first? What do I avoid?
Ticking the whole time, and every so often the difficulty will ratchet up. So you've also got to be like quick and efficient.
Yeah.
So it does have that very like Binding of Isaac roguelite structure to it, but it's one of the roguelikes I will accept alongside Spelunky.
Its roguelike elements are very understated, and I wouldn't say subtle, but understated. Effectively, you just get random sets of items through each run, and it's permadeath, and that's the only kind of thing that matters.
So as you kill enemies, you gain money, and then you can use that to open chests, which give you a random item generally. Sometimes you get a choice between items, so you never know what your build's going to be by the end of the game. And then what's different in Risk of Rain 2 than Risk of Rain 1? I guess it was in Risk of Rain 1, but you can loop back on it, and sort of the difficulty will go up when you loop back, and you can keep playing. You don't have to finish with an end state. But there's more rewards for doing it in Risk of Rain 2 than there were in Risk of Rain 1. You can sort of you get a currency that you can spend to get special items in each run, and that persists over each run that you do. So you can get a load of that for kind of looping if you want to.
Yeah, there's another tier of items that I don't think was in Risk of Rain 1, which are called lunar items, and they have significant upsides, but also significant downsides at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting
interplay between them.
And it's the fun is really in stacking things and finding weird builds that somehow work out of items that you didn't anticipate would interact with each other.
It's nice because towards later, like there's a mid-section of the game where you feel like an absolute god and you're just like destroying things in a couple of seconds, even bosses, and then you get slightly further in and you get a bit too Billy Big Bollocks, and one mistake is going to absolutely fuck you. So
in the late game, you are either living and killing everything, or you just suddenly die and you don't know why you died.
Yeah.
Like something kills you and you don't know how it happened within the space of about a second. And that's simultaneously really frustrating, but also really fun, because you've had that like 50 minutes of I am untouchable, you cannot harm me.
Yeah.
I went through one run where I picked up an item that gives you 8% chance to dodge things, and it keeps adding up. You can never get to 100, and I think I stacked about 20 of them, so I was at like...
You were at 75% chance not to take damage.
And there was just squeaks the whole way through, because every time you dodge something, it squeaks. And it was squeaks until there was suddenly not a squeak and I died.
There's always, like, you can always learn sort of what killed, well, not always, but most of the time you can, like, figure it out, like, where you went wrong. It's got that problem where, like, you feel so powerful by the time you die that when you start a new run, you feel very slow all of a sudden, but it doesn't take you long to get back up to that feeling of power again. So it's not a big deal like it is in some games.
Also, the power of mathematics is strong as well. Like stacking things and making you realize just how strong multiplication and exponential rises are is really good. Like you can give yourself 500 million times the damage that you would normally have, and the game will record you as being at -1 HP as a result. And there's damage overflows and stacks. It's great fun.
And although there's no sort of true synergies in the game, there's not things like you'd get in Enter the Gungeon or like in Binding of Isaac, where two items will combine to make a new sort of item. You figure out kind of what works well with itself and kind of start.
It's got like 5 or 6 core mechanics that kind of like there are keywords that are flashed up in different colors that show that they interact with each other, like crits and bleed and die on death or on hit, that kind of thing. Yeah. And they all nicely interact.
But there's been a lot of bug fixes, a lot of changes, a lot of balancing. Presumably they're going to have some post-release content as well. I mean, it's published by Gearbox now, so they're probably going to try and squeeze people for money.
Can't believe we gave Randy Pitchford money.
Time's up.
We gave Randy Pitchford money.
You gave Randy money.
That's the last thing to end this segment.
He's going to go out and buy magic with that now.
Money. Do you want my clip of Randy Pitchford so you can insert it here?
I always want that clip, Specs, and by always I mean never.
Yes. I've heard enough of Randy Pitchford for a lifetime.
Haven't we all? But we keep giving him money.
Have you ever heard of Cam-girl pornography?
Yes, I have. I hear of it every goddamn day around
To get
here.
the fucking sickening taste of Randy Pitchford out of my mouth, we're going to talk about Hylics.
Yes.
10 minutes, here we go. What the fuck is Hylics about? I finished the game, I still don't know.
All right, no, that doesn't matter. Listen, if you listening are at the computer or have access to Google, if you don't know who Mason Lindroth is, just go on Google image search and look up Mason Lindroth's art. He does this how do you even describe it? Like, he does claymation.
It's digitized, overly dithered claymation.
Yeah, super surreal. It's got really interesting characters. He is a fucking genius, and he made a little short JRPG where you're a banana-headed man who fights an alien.
Well, you're a crescent moon-headed man.
Crescent moon-headed man, yeah. You die repeatedly. Every time you die, all the flesh falls off, creating a weird-looking skeleton. You have to feed meat into a meat grinder to increase your health. The combat is basic JRPG, RPG Maker stuff. It's an RPG Maker game, but the animations really make it special. That's also in claymation. Like, it shows every time you attack, it shows 2 giant hands making like hand gestures to create spells and create items or whatever. It's just a joy to watch.
It's short, it doesn't overstay its welcome, it's gorgeous, and it's just like, it's affably weird. It has a vibe where it's not being weird in an arbitrary sense, it's being weird in a sense that is entirely self-consistent, as if there's this world that just runs on this baffling logic, like a lot of weird RPG Maker games we talk about it. You know, it's not Wayne created a shield, it's Wayne manifested ablative hollow pleather. all of the NPCs in the game speak in incomprehensible, randomly generated gibberish text. But a lot of the random text is really funny, and a lot of the non-random text is also really funny. So much of the stuff in the game is completely optional. I beat the game without even realizing there was a fourth party member I was supposed to get. And if you get him, he makes ambulance skeletons stop killing you. It's got a great soundtrack.
Yes.
I'll dump some in.
RPG Maker art games is one of my favorite genres. I think there's a lot of gold in there.
It's a subgenre that is for a very specific audience, but I think I would consider Hylics one of the essential RPG Maker art games, and I just like games with a very strong creative voice, and this is definitely that. And it's like £2, and the game will take you 3 to 4 hours to finish, maybe. So, yeah, it's pretty sick. Have we ever talked about Krill and Flow on this podcast?
I don't know what that is.
Because
Killing Floor.
We've been playing Killing Floor together for literally years on occasion, and I never hear it talked about.
Are we talking about Killing Floor now? Is that what's happening? Okay.
Killing Floor's on the list.
So we played it a couple of times recently. Like twice have we played it?
But every couple of years we have picked it up and gone back to it, I would say.
Yeah.
At least I have.
played it. I've not played it as much with GLA, I don't think. I used to play it a fuck ton with another group I used to be part of, and I was obsessed with it. And I hadn't played it for so many years, and then we were like, hey, let's play some Killing Floor. And it was just immediately like nostalgia hit. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like Killing Floor.
When you get in a good server, because we got in some garbage servers.
Yeah.
But like, for people who might not know what it is, it's you might draw a comparison between Left 4 Dead in that there's a bunch of characters and there's loads of zombies coming at you. Oh, sorry, what
there's
are they
one
called?
character.
Zeds or whatever they are.
It's not like Left 4 Dead.
But it
Not
might
really.
look like Left 4 Dead to the uninitiated, but it has a big focus, I would say, on map knowledge and controlling territory and controlling like what zombies can enter that territory, and you know what doors you've got welded and how you're dealing with that. So it
it's
ends
a
up
horde
feeling
mode, basically.
Yeah,
like
but
if
it
you think
ends
of the
up
horde mode,
feeling a lot more strategic than Left 4 Dead, which is more based on like reactions.
It's interesting that you say that, because to me, Killing Floor is just the ultimate, I want to play a game with my friends, but I don't want to fucking think about anything aside from this ridiculous soundtrack. That's what Killing Floor is to me. But maybe that's because I've played a lot of it. The soundtrack is so good and so funny.
It's terrible.
It's so funny.
There is
love
literally one note in the entire soundtrack.
But it fits.
It fits perfectly.
yeah, it
And
does
it's
fit really well.
the
All
exact
right,
mood
am I
you
gonna have
need.
to pull this up because I was just vibing to
It's
into
the very
Breach.
definition of ass metal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, hell
funny.
It's pretty
Yes.
bad.
It's
but-
exactly what you need when you're doing that game, though.
Yeah, it does fit perfectly into the
It
vibe.
also just doesn't take itself seriously. Like your characters are constantly spouting out about like how much money they've got and stuff, and
it's
the
made by
vendors are
what, like
silly.
it's made by like Polish people, but
Yeah.
it's like full of really stupid, but also not entirely inaccurate like British accents.
It's not
Gosh,
inaccurate.
yeah,
at all.
someone grab it.
And
It
it's
is set
like
in England as
it's
well.
Yeah.
set in England, and they do a lot of like British jokes as well.
confusing that they even decided to, but it works. Like there's
I
like
didn't-
Harry Enfield references
Yeah,
and stuff. In
I
there.
didn't realise that it wasn't made by a British team for many years.
Same.
It's just great. You don't have to think about a fucking thing.
Loads of money.
I've
I-
only started playing it recently. I'd never played it before. It's fine. Like it's good at what it does. Like Shiny said, it's just kind of a mindless slaughter fest. You do have to think a little bit about positioning when there's big enemies coming towards you, but it is just nice to sort of shoot shit. And there's so much shit that comes your way. It's just like a grinder, essentially. You just like you make a funnel point and then just kill everything that comes towards you.
You
And
have
there's
to
so
be.
many guns to shoot as well.
Yeah,
and they
there's
all
lots
feel
of-
so meaty.
It
and
has the Counter-Strike like money system where you get money after each round and then you can spend it to buy new guns and equipment, which is interesting, I think.
You definitely have to think a lot more about what you're doing when you play on the higher difficulties, because we've only been playing on like normal at most, I think.
Yeah, and we still lose.
Yeah, I used to. Me and my other gang, we used to play at like suicidal level, which was like mega, and we would win sometimes. So maybe I'm just shit at games now. But that's the level that you have to actually kind of think about where you are, where you're holding up, who's using what's it called?
Perks.
Class.
Perk, that's the one. And you have to have like one of each thing, so you're holding up all different types of stuff. But any lower than that, you can just be like, I just want to shoot the shit out of stuff. Killing Floor 2.
There is a certain amount of medium budget, mid noughties game jank associated with Killing Floor. I will say that.
Oh, it's such a budget-looking title.
It's like,
but
yeah.
If you are interested, go in. But would you guys say that you would dissuade people from trying Killing Floor 2 and instead go for the original?
I haven't played enough of 2 to know, really.
I keep being told that 2 is bad and we shouldn't play it, so I haven't played any of it. But
I have tried it 3 times and I couldn't get into a game. Like, I had to try for a really long time to even get into a game, and when I did, the ping was sky high, so I just gave up.
I don't remember having any ill feeling about it when I have played it. That's all I'll say. It just felt like more of the same.
I heard it had a
forum
DLC
posts-
problem.
Yeah, forum posts seem to suggest that it's not good. They've locked a lot of stuff behind like microtransactions. It's just not as fun an experience in general because of it.
Yeah, they've got a lot of weapons behind microtransactions, but towards the end of Killing Floor 1, they started doing that a lot as well. So it's not something that's just a problem with the sequel. It's just something that they started doing, unfortunately.
Next on the list is Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Oh, okay. So this was the number one game that I played over the entirety of my lockdown. I think I am approaching 1,000 hours in it now.
As I suspect many people are.
Yes, indeed. Well, you get a lot of the people who got it at the start and then dropped off in 2 weeks because they're like, this is boring, there's nothing to do, which is fair enough because there's nothing to do. Especially compared to previous Animal Crossing games, of which I've actually, to be honest, only played New Leaf. But it definitely feels like a game that wasn't ready for a complete release, but they decided let's release it anyway and then just do updates when the seasons happen, is essentially what they've done. Which I understand from a perspective that can work, because the concept of trying to, like, you know, eke out the content so people like hang on for the next update and then the next update after that in theory can work. But when the game at base starts with significantly less content than the 3DS one that came out fuck knows how many years ago, it's a bit of an issue. Like, there's only 2 shops compared to like the whole of like Main Street that New Leaf had. Like, there's just so much less in it that I can understand.
The base content is less in this one than it was than the base content in New Leaf, isn't it? Like, New Leaf didn't have the same update schedule.
Significantly. And like I said, I can understand kind of why they would do that, but also it was nice to be able to have things to work towards. And like periodically, when it gets to like, I don't know, 2 months since the last update, I've been getting like, you know, it'd be nice to have a forwards thinking kind of thing. It's like, oh, if I go to the shop every single day, then it's going to upgrade. But that's not the case. Like, I'm not working towards anything in the game. I'm just waiting for Nintendo to give me the options, you know? So while I have played a lot of it and I do fucking love it, it wasn't ready to come out, but I'm glad that it did anyway.
I don't understand what draws people to Animal Crossing.
I fucking love chores.
I mean, I don't really understand it. I don't understand it either, but I do find myself just keep going back to it every so often. Yeah, there have been times where I just haven't played it for like 3-4 weeks at a time and gone back and found my village, island, whatever it is, covered in weeds. But I don't know, there is something that just keeps pulling you back every so often.
It's fucking chores game, dude. Like, it's happy, it's peaceful, it's calm. Even when the weather's shit, it's still nice. Every morning I get up, I have my coffee, I get my 4 fossils, I plant my new money tree, I say hi to all my friends, I see what's in the shop. It's chores game and it's amazing.
That's the thing about it, is it's calm.
It's peaceful
it's
routine.
Tranquil. It's the exact opposite of what the world is at the moment, and that's exactly what you need sometimes.
Yeah, it's a bit of an
brief
escape,
slice
isn't it?
of routine and normalcy.
Exactly.
Besides, it's the only way you're getting outside anyway.
As someone who's only played it as the sidecar character, really, it's really bad to play in local multiplayer, and I wish they had done more to make it so that if you're like a co-op partner, that you can actually do things. You can't do jack shit as like the secondary player on console co-op. It's like you can't talk to people, you can't go into buildings, like you have no control. You can basically just fish and catch bugs.
And then even then you don't have pocket space. It goes straight to the recycling
Yeah, it just goes
box
to
in
the
resident
bin.
services. It's really like they just shouldn't have had it, to be honest.
It's so bad, and it's like, why would I want to play this in co-op when I'm just following the main character around who decided this would be fun.
I mean, Nintendo do stuff like that with co-op all the time, and I think part of it is like, oh, the parent is actually playing the game, and then their child is like in co-op, and they're not able to fuck anything up or something.
Yeah. That's another thing as well. If you're playing on the same console, because you can't have separate save files, the first person who makes a save is the only person who can influence like the island's upgrade schedule and stuff.
Buy another copy of Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
That is exactly what it is. They seem to have gone out of their way to make people buy multiple copies.
However, even if you have 2 copies of the game, you can only have one island on the Switch.
Yes.
Even if you have two like a physical copy and a download, you can still only have one save file, which is bullshit.
Completely
horseshit. Another thing that's horseshit actually is that with the 2 separate characters, you don't even get 2 sets of design slots. You both share one set of design slots.
Yeah, so I can't like put in all of my meme like cat's dog faces and stuff into the game without taking out slots that Shiny's using for decorations.
So Specs came over and he downloaded Cat's Dog, and he chose like a design slot that just looked like it was just a blank color. So it was like, yeah, that's partly fine. But it was like one of the things that I was using to color a path. So like the pathway outside someone's house, the ground was just replaced with Cat's Dog face like 5 times. But yeah, that's completely ridiculous. There's no reason for people to have to share design slots at all.
The inventory space thing is a big issue for me with Animal Crossing, and I keep going on about it, and people get annoyed with me for going on about it. But in a game that's just about collecting shit, and all there is to do in the game is fill out a catalog of shit you're collecting, you should not have a finite amount of space to store that shit, and you should not have a finite amount of space to store like the sort of the designs you're making when you want to be sharing those with other people in the world. When you get 50 design slots and then you can't make any more, or you have to start deleting the ones that you've already got. Why? It's like a fucking... It's not taking up space on the console. It's like a text document somewhere stored within your Switch's memory. It's like a series of like letters. It's nothing. Why can't I have infinite of that? It's bullshit.
Yeah,
it's busy work.
We're almost out of time. Scream your final opinions into the void.
I guarantee they're going to release updates for that, but it is definitely something. There's a lot of things the game should have started with that it hasn't.
But it's still good.
Fuck anime.
Animal Crossing.
Damn.
Next game on the list is Yooka-Laylee. 10 minutes, starting now.
Okay, so we're talking about Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. No, I don't know if any of us have played the original Yooka-Laylee, but I heard it was bad.
Like,
not very
what happened was, original Yooka-Laylee came out, and I think, I haven't played it, but I get the impression that the developers bit off more than they could chew with the size of the game and the scope of like making a 3D platformer. And it wasn't one of those impossible things like A Hat in Time where it turned out really good.
I don't think that was the case at all. I think a lot of the disappointment is people getting exactly what they asked for and not remembering that things like Banjo-Kazooie ultimately, like, you have nostalgia for them, but they are not as good as you remember.
Banjo-Kazooie is bad.
I got
really
bored.
bad.
I got bored of playing
I
Banjo.
agree.
The point is, the developers must have sat down and said, well, okay, what do we do next? And they came up with what, when I saw it, I thought was an asset flip. But it turns out it's actually a really good 2D platformer in the tradition of Donkey Kong Country that doesn't quite hit the highs of Tropical Freeze, but it's got a lot of unique original ideas of its own that it executes really well on.
Yeah. So I completely avoided anything about this game because I was like, well, the first one was crap. Like, why would I care about this? And then I got it for free on Epic, and I saw Catsman playing it, and he was saying actually it's really good. What made you want to play it, Catsman?
I was bored in lockdown, like all these games.
But then I picked it up, and I was like, actually, yeah, Catsman's right. It doesn't hit the highs of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, which is like my favorite 2D platformer, but it's got a very consistent like middle ground of, yeah, this is fun. Yeah, this is all right. And I think it all comes together as quite a good game. It wasn't enough for me to want to 100% it. I didn't even get all of the Bs, which is what you get for completing every level. I did complete every level, but didn't get all the secret exits. But it was enough to keep me entertained, and I think it would be worth a purchase if you're into 2D platformers, definitely.
So if you're coming from Tropical Freeze, the main differences you should know about with this game are, first off, it's got an overworld, and that overworld has interesting puzzles on it. And the puzzles are neat, and I like games that do something to break up the action, because I feel like I get easily fatigued if I'm playing a game that's the same thing over and over. But if there's a little bit of puzzle solving sprinkled in between the platforming, I can play it for much longer. And the overworld in this game is really fun.
I really like it. Yeah,
it's really
got a lot
great.
of neat ideas.
Think of like Zelda, like top-down Zelda is kind of the level of puzzles you're getting. It's a lot of block pushing and sort of like revealing hidden sort of walls by bombing them and things. And it's never too difficult a puzzle that you can't get it. Like, I don't think I ever had to look at a guide, maybe once because I was misunderstanding or forgot how one of the mechanics worked. But it was just enough to make you go, that's clever, and make you feel good for solving the puzzle.
Makes you feel clever, but it doesn't stump you. But the cool thing is that the puzzles on the overworld open up alternate versions of all of the levels that you've already played. And these alternate versions, I do think there are a few duds in there, but generally I would consider them to be pretty clever. Like, you flip a world upside down on the overworld. They're all represented by books. You flip the book upside down, you go into the level. Now everything's upside down. You do all the elemental modifiers to the levels. I won't spoil them, but there are some genuinely clever like reruns of levels in there. Yeah. And it never feels like, or only once or twice does it feel like they're just recycling the level. They've all got like new visuals, new music, new lighting, all that stuff.
I had a bit of an issue with it. I think if you're going to play it, what you should do is there's 10 levels and 10 alt versions of those levels. Unless you have to progress the plot, don't go straight back into a level once you've done it, is my advice, because a lot of them do feel quite samey to me, and for me, it was like a lot of them were let's add water to this level. There's at least 3 that do that, I think. And then a couple of them are like, let's add ice. And one of them is just let's reverse all the treadmills in this level, which is just kind of
I liked the let's add ice and some of the let's add water. The ones I didn't like were the ones where there was machinery in the level that was turned off in the alternate version. Yeah. I thought those were boring.
Yeah,
But I think it's worth going through the alternate versions of the levels because some of them, which again, I'm not going to spoil, are really clever and I had a lot of fun with.
There's one I can think of that I really liked specifically. What I think they maybe should have done is, if they could have done it, cut a few of the alt levels and just make one new level with the same amount of like asset time, rather than make a few boring alt levels.
The other thing I like about this game is the overarching structure is that you're trying to beat the impossible lair, which is a really, really long, very difficult level. And you actually start the game in the impossible lair and you die pretty much straight away.
I love that.
The collectibles that you get, each one gives you an extra hit point in the impossible lair. So it's kind of like, at some point, the number of collectibles you've acquired and your skill at the game is going up, and the difficulty of the impossible lair is going down. And at some point, they meet, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to the impossible lair. And I love games that have really difficult marathon length end levels. That's a thing that I just really like. The impossible lair itself is really good, really well designed. My only quibble with it is that the boss is a bit shite.
Yes, and it's the only boss in the game, and you fight him 3 or 4 times in the lair, I think.
4, I think.
Yeah, and while he adds new movesets sort of as he goes along, it's very much just a let's iterate on the moveset he had for the last fight.
Yeah.
It's not something new.
I mean, if you've played Donkey Kong Country bosses, they're never good.
Yeah, the issue
I thought
with
Tropical Freeze had some good bosses.
I like Tropical Freeze's
I
bosses.
found
I think
Tropical
they're really
Freeze
good.
frustrating.
I think you're wrong.
2D
Honestly.
platformer, interesting 2D platformer bosses are hard to do if it's a pure platformer.
Yeah, it's
Like,
fine if
'cause
it's
you
an
don't have
action
too many-
platformer, but it's hard if it's a
Yeah.
pure
But
platformer.
I think they're really good in Tropical Freeze, but that's not what we're talking about.
Yes.
The problem with capital B in Impossible Lair is, one, it's a very slow fight most of the time because it's extremely pattern-based, so it gets boring because you've got to do it 4 times per run if you keep dying towards the end. 2, his hitboxes are jank as fuck. And
Yeah.
3, it's quite often difficult to tell what move he's going to do. He's got one specific move that he will
Yeah,
either
he
just
has
rush at
trick
you.
wind-up animations.
Yeah, or he tricks you. But the trick you one looks almost exactly the same until halfway through its animation, so you don't know whether to rush him or not when he's doing it. Also,
Bran,
there's this...
do you have any opinions on this game? You played it, right?
The Impossible Lair, the actual the Impossible Lair level is easily the best part of the game.
Yeah.
From my experience, when I was playing the base levels, I enjoyed them, but none of them really wowed me in a way that Tropical Freeze did.
It's got a very chilled out vibe. I think it's a relaxing game to play, but it doesn't have the holy shit, this is so clever feeling that you get from playing Tropical Freeze.
Yeah.
The mechanics in the levels are good, but they're more in line with what you got in the original Donkey Kong Country Returns, I think.
I'm also I'm a little disappointed by the music because the game is fucking David Wise.
I was just thinking this. Yeah,
the music is so unmemorable.
I liked the soundtrack, but I think David Wise phoned it in on this game. It's definitely not his best work.
Definitely did,
it's a weird one because it's got you can tell it's a David Wise soundtrack, and a lot of it sounds similar to Tropical Freeze, similar kind of vibe. But the way I keep thinking about it is, why isn't this as good as a soundtrack as Tropical Freeze, which again is one of my favorite game soundtracks? Did they just pay him less so he didn't try as hard, or how does it work? Surely you don't compose better if someone flops more money on
maybe
your
he's
table.
rushed. I don't know.
I have a theory with this, and that David Wise only makes good soundtracks when he's got good environments to work with. And from what I've seen of Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair, it doesn't quite look like there are as many varied and interesting environments for levels. And I think that might be it.
That's true, yeah, I guess.
But in my opinion, David Wise only makes a truly great soundtrack if you give him a water level.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
part of
true.
it is
There's some
that.
good water
Although,
music.
I say that, and his other work in Tropical Freeze was good even when it wasn't in water. So
Tropical Freeze is a
Tropical
phenomenal
Freeze soundtrack is A+.
Yeah.
Easily one of the best soundtracks.
Definitely.
But the water music is the best.
I don't know, man. Sticker Bush Symphony. It's the good shit.
actually,
My favorite is
a good
actually the
song.
swamp music in DKC2.
DKC2 is very good, like Forest Interlude and
Forest Interlude is
Bayou,
great.
whatever it is.
Bayou
very
Boogie.
good. Bayou Boogie, that's the one.
The next game on the list is Death Stranding, the first ever Strand
yes.
type game.
I think you'll find that Nobi Nobi Boy was the first Strand type game.
Second ever Strand type game.
Yes, excellent. Hideo Kojima's best game since Metal Gear Solid 2.
Now hold on here, Mike. Why?
I would say that the actual gameplay, when you get into the meat of the game or into the second kind of major act, it becomes this kind of infrastructure building game. The combat is actually pretty decent once you kind of get over the hump of it. Just some good writing, good characters. I enjoyed myself all the way through. And the ending features proper baby CPR.
I don't think the writing is good.
I agree.
It's Kojima writing.
As someone who didn't play the game and just watched it on YouTube, I skipped the gameplay because I don't want to watch someone trudge through endless barren landscapes for hours to get to the story content. I kind of watched it while I was studying, and The story is quite nonsensical, as Kojima's often are. The character interactions are all awkward and just kind of not very substantial. And I don't really remember most of the story. I just remember coming away with a sense that it was dumb and it wasn't good.
Agree to disagree there. It is genuinely, like, to me, like an actually interesting sci-fi thing, Justin, like positing that there is an afterlife, but that it's weird and it sucks. I mean, like, the mocap was definitely like contributed to this, but I thought, yeah, no, like the interactions, besides that one romance part that was incredibly weird, I thought overall, like, I mean, you're playing as this, like, emotionally stunted person who has a phobia of being touched.
This guy who has a phobia of being touched, but constantly throughout the game allows people to touch him and stays within an arm's reach of people, whereas if I had a phobia of being touched, I'd be on the other side of the room.
It's supposed to be kind of intrusive, like they and he gets over it through the course of the story. But
as someone who doesn't know much about Death Stranding, what is this game actually about?
So there is an apocalyptic event where basically the world of the dead, the beach, comes in contact with the real world. It's they're positing it as like antimatter, but basically now, because of this connection, anytime there's a corpse, it will release what they call chiral matter, and if a BT touches it, then it causes a huge explosion.
And all of the cities got destroyed because too many people died and then were antimatter exploded by ghosts touching them. So now everyone has to be cremated before their body gets touched by a ghost. You play as a man called Sam Porter, who is a mailman, and his job is to deliver packages across the USA in order to link the remaining cities and research facilities back into the chiral network, which is kind of some sort of magical after-death internet thing that they've got.
Yes. It's an internet connected to the world of the dead, which has specific temporal properties that basically you can upload like an incredible amount of information incredibly quickly.
You can basically just synthesize stuff from kind of the future. It uses a bit of Bill and Ted logic, where it's like, well, we were going to build it eventually, so let's just like backtrack it from the future and make it appear now.
Let's not bother with the currently existing technology and go straight to the future technology.
Yes, yeah, like they justify it in that, like, it's like, okay, so time works differently on the beach, and so we can just run this simulation that would take like 1,000 years for any of our computers to actually run. So we're just, but you know, we can just do that.
Yeah. Can we hear from Wooly? Wooly, you dropped it really quickly. What was your experience with it?
Deeply boring. I didn't get into the story at all. I don't understand what Mike sees in it. I felt like I was watching a Netflix original series, and that's not a compliment.
I totally get what you mean by that.
God, Netflix is fucking garbage these days. It's not that bad.
I don't know.
It is. Everyone has a ridiculous name, which isn't new for Kojima.
Yeah, I found out the other day, the character called Die Hard Man, apparently his real name in the game is John McClane.
What?
And at one point, you know, Guillermo del Toro basically, like, looking at the camera, says, "I guess some people die harder than others."
Oh my god!
Guillermo del Toro, who is not mocapped or voice acted by Guillermo del Toro. It's just Guillermo del Toro's face.
People have stupid names in like Metal Gear 2, but Metal Gear is kind of tongue-in-cheek. In Death Stranding and Metal Gear Solid 5 both take themselves so fucking seriously that when there's a joke, it's just jarring because it doesn't feel like it fits in. Everything else is so grim all the time.
It's like the Princess Beach comment. Like I'm Princess Beach and you're Mario. It's like what?
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I love shit like that. I love that. I love that fucking Troy Baker is just like a big ham and is directly telling you, it's like, come on, didn't you get bored over the last few hours? Aren't you ready for a boss fight? Isn't this what you wanted?
No, because the boss fights look like trash as well. When the core gameplay loop is about walking packages from place to place, and then you're expected to shoot guys for some reason in like a shoehorn section where you're back in World War II trenches, it's like it's a really weird, jarring disconnect from what the main gameplay loop has been, and it doesn't like. Why not have a boss fight that relates to walking? Because that's the main gameplay concept. Like, you gotta go up an escalator or something while it's going the other way.
It's a really, really steep hill.
The thing with Death Stranding for me, with the story especially, is like watching it, I was like, this should have been a radio show. I think Kojima's writing thing. Yeah, I think Kojima's writing style lends itself to radio so much better than video games, because the gameplay is not connected to the story in this game really at all, I don't think. And in a lot of his games, it's not really too important. I think just if this had been like a radio show, then it would have been perfect. That's all you need. I don't think it needed visual.
I don't necessarily know, because Kojima's absolute like biggest fault is that he will not like cut things out, and he does like, it was funny as hell when they were like, it's like, oh yeah, Kojima Productions is thinking about doing movies, and it's like, you absolutely have no skill at condensing information whatsoever. So like for like Kojima stories, like you almost have to have it like attached to the game so that there is something to do for the hours and hours of just basically all the shit that's kicking around in his head to kind of connect to itself.
But the problem is he presents the story through long ass cutscenes when they could have been audio logs as you walk for hours between West Knot City and Dog Knot City.
Yeah. Yeah, no, still loved it. I enjoyed my time playing it. There's something very satisfying about helping other people complete roads. And yeah, like when you get into kind of that second act where you're building up like kind of like networks of things to like move across, it's fun.
Again, though, with the Stranding system as it is, it's hard to tell whether or not what you're doing is actually really affecting other people's worlds, or whether like they did this just to help themselves rather than to help you. While you maybe benefit from what some people have done, you don't get the full benefit of what they've done. And if you're benefiting from like people who have built roads, you haven't had to walk all that way, so you can just like drive straight to the objectives, and it kind of breaks the main gameplay loop, which is supposed to be about walking. It's just a weird.
Well, no, it starts off as being about walking. Like it later on, like walking becomes like your last option. Like yeah, in the middle of the game, like it absolutely becomes about like doing things, like making things efficient for yourself. Like once you get like the zip lines when you're in like the Rocky Mountains and stuff, like that itself becomes like a central part of the thing. Like you're just going out and setting up this kind of infrastructure. And as an American who's never really lived with good infrastructure, I very much am satisfied and appreciate that.
We are out of time. If you have any more opinions, yell them into the void. Otherwise, we're going to move on.
Kojima really is the Tarantino of games. He made his last good game like 10 years ago, and now he's just doing whatever.
I will always side on the you went for something incredibly weird, and some, you know, you made an effort to be experimental as opposed to doing something, you know, safe and controlled.
As opposed to doing something good.
Oh.
I'm with Mike on this one, but I'm happy enough to know that Death Stranding exists. I don't actually have to play it. The next game is Celeste.
So I haven't finished Celeste. I didn't want to keep playing it, so I stopped. But I don't think it's a bad game. I completed at least the first 3 chapters, I think just after the Haunted Hotel. You can talk about spoilers, though. I don't care. So
okay, so I really liked some things about Celeste, and I really didn't like some things about it. And I think if I'd been less bored, I probably would have quit it around level 3 or 4, the same as Specs. The thing about Celeste is, I think it's paced badly. The levels are too long. We don't really need to introduce this game, right? It's like an anxiety-themed pure 2D platformer with very nice visuals and music and very like focused, polished gameplay.
Yeah, so I played it because I heard it was like Meat Boy, and I really liked Meat Boy when it came out. I don't know if I'm just not in the mood for that style of platformer anymore, but it just didn't click with me. So I may as well say what I didn't like about it. It is basically do the jumps in this way to complete the level or you lose. And
that's all games.
Yeah, but in Celeste, it's like do them specifically very rigidly in this way. Whereas in, say, Mario or Yooka-Laylee, I've got some room to play about with.
I think you've got more liberty in Celeste than you give it credit for.
I would
didn't
agree
feel
with
like
him
I did.
on like the B and C sides are very rigid, but the A sides I feel like you have a lot of like freedom in how you want to go about doing things.
I didn't feel like I did, and that's why I didn't enjoy it, I think. And I think it's good at what it does, and I don't think it's a bad game. I think it's just that I didn't want that, so it didn't work for me. But I bear it no ill will. It's just not something that I enjoyed, really.
I remember distinctly I'd never heard of the game, and then a day before the game came out, I saw like, I don't know how I heard about it, but I think I saw like an article about it. I'm like, wait, this is the exact kind of game I've been looking for, because ever since I'd played Super Meat Boy, I'd always been looking for like a Twitch style platformer in that vein to scratch that itch.
This game is so much better than Super Meat Boy. That's why I avoided it for so long, because I didn't like Meat Boy. This is a improvement in every possible way.
I didn't 100% it because I wasn't that interested in the strawberries, but I did every level, so A, B, C sides, and then down the line the DLC.
Damn, Brand, that's a lot of Celeste.
That's a lot of Celeste. I think I have like over 10,000 deaths. But man, I fucking loved Celeste, especially like when I got to the grinding out the B and C sides. I just had so much fun with it. I really, really love that style of platformer where you just beating your head against a really difficult wall, and then you get the perfect run, and you just get this like rush. I fucking love it.
It's a very specific kind of video game pleasure.
It is. It's a game that is designed to induce like a flow state. It has this very precise movement system that you always feel like you're thoroughly in control of. All of that stuff I liked about it. My big problem with Celeste, and this goes for both the gameplay and the story, is that it's kind of overwrought. I think beyond the third level, like the third level, the fourth level, particularly the fifth level, the one where you fall down a big pit and have to climb out, like they go on for so long, and the game has gotten all of the possible permutations of these different mechanics. Like it's done everything it can with all the different mechanics that are in the level, and then it just keeps going, sometimes for like literally 20 or 30 more screens, just more versions of the same stuff but in a different order. And I'm like, oh my god, why can't the level be over? I'm bored now. I'm no longer having fun. And unfortunately, I think the story is the same, because it like, I like a lot of the themes and the ideas that are at play in the story. It's a story about like depression and anxiety and stuff. It's very like millennial vibes. But it just explains itself too much. And it just and it's like, okay, if I was writing this, I would cut this off now. And it just keeps going. And like all the metaphors in the story just become like incredibly, incredibly externalized, and all the subtext just becomes regular text. And I'm like, no, you had a good thing and you've ruined it by over-explaining it.
Yeah, I can see that from what I played of it. Like it.
But there's so many clever moments in the story that I'm not willing to discount it entirely.
In terms of like the levels going on too long, I think you're probably right about that. There was one specific mechanic I didn't like in the game, which was like you say, sets of levels have like specific mechanics to them, and most of them are quite fun. There's one like set of levels where there's just wind, and most of the time the wind is pushing against you like at set intervals of time, and you've got to either move when the wind's not pushing or move when it is pushing to do specific jumps. It just got very annoying because it felt like the game fighting you rather than letting you just do the platforming. I think that's about where I gave up, actually.
I agree. I didn't like the wind at all.
I think the only mechanic I really the main mechanic I really disliked was the Theo mechanic where you had to fucking push him around.
That is the point where I nearly quit the game.
I don't think I saw this one.
There's a level in the middle of the game called the Mirror Dungeon, and it's like the story is really good, and it's like really getting going. And like the characters are all good, but there is this. Not only does the level go on for literally 1.5 hours, again, just beyond its welcome time, but there is a section at the end in which you have to escort a character who's trapped in a crystal, and there's like enemies chasing you that attack you, and you can't do stuff while you're holding the crystal, and it just goes on, and it's so not fun at all, and you're just begging for it to be over, and every time you get to the end of the screen there's another screen of it, and you're like, there's another screen of it, why?
I remember really feeling that way, particularly in the B side of that level, because the B side also has you doing the escort. Thankfully not the C side, but
I don't want to know.
Yeah, the B side of that level was probably like the least fun I've had with that game, even though it wasn't the hardest part of it. It's just it wasn't a fun mechanic. Also, there's a mechanic in the DLC that's like really janky that was also not fun to deal with, but I figured it out eventually.
What I will say is that it does clean up its act by the end of the game, at least with reference to level design, because the final level is one of those marathon-length final levels that I really like, and it does the whole thing of like actually making you feel like you're climbing up a mountain. There is a lot of that level. It's a good one.
I'm pretty neutral on it, but I do want to throw in a mention of my favorite mechanic, which is the what do you call it? The material that maintains your momentum while you jump through it.
Yeah, I love that.
It's really satisfying.
That's because it's got so many uses, and they like that is one of those things in the game that didn't overstay its welcome because there's so much you can do with it.
They really milked that one into good effect.
The second level is probably the best in the game, to be honest.
There's a problem in the A sides where they don't really use that much of the cool stuff like that, because I think that's on the B side for level 2, mostly that kind of material. And I think probably until you unlock the B and C sides and get those extra levels, you might be missing out on a lot of the fun mechanics just because they couldn't think of ways to make them used in easier platforming sections, maybe? I don't know if I guess Brand's played all of it. What do you think?
Yeah, the B and C sides definitely take like the unique level mechanics way further, but they also like you're more restricted in how you can use them because the levels are designed in like a way that like you have to beat the level in this specific way. But they definitely, I would say, especially the B sides probably are the ones that take these mechanics the furthest, because the C sides are very short. They're all like 2 or 3 screens long. And so there's not really a chance to really build off of stuff at that point. It's really just, here's the hardest thing we can possibly throw at you that uses these mechanics.
I think that's the end of our Celeste discussion.
Yep.
That's like what, a cautious recommendation, depending on what kind of genre of game you like.
I'd recommend it if you're, even if like me, sort of you liked Super Meat Boy. I didn't like this, but I still think if you're into Super Meat Boy, give this a try. If you're into I Want to Be the Guy, N I think is a similar game.
Oh yeah, I love all those games.
Yeah, so or if you're just looking for a hard as nails platformer, 2D platforming experience, go for it. Like, I think it just didn't click with me, but I'd say give it a go if you're into that sort of thing.
The next game on my list is Among Us.
Yes, the premier party game of the last like couple months.
Like, so it was released 2 years ago, and some fucking like streamer or something was randomly like, "I'm going to play this game," and now it's a fucking phenomenon.
Yeah. And the developers very, very smartly said like, "Oh, we're not making a sequel. because that would add like it's they know that they're riding a wave right now.
Does it need one?
Yeah.
It doesn't need, so they're just implementing the features that they had planned for the sequel into the original Among Us with its new ground ass graphics.
Incredibly Newgrounds vibe.
It's incredible. Like God,
It's very charming though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. No, it's done well, but like this is a game that reminds me of being inside Hot Topic.
Are they doing more maps?
Yeah.
Okay, because there's only 3, aren't there? There's only 3 maps, I think.
And
I've watched this, but I haven't actually played it.
This is a hidden identity game, right? I've not seen any gameplay of it or anything. I just know it's hidden identity.
If you're familiar with Werewolf or Mafia or Avalon or Secret Hitler, it works very much on the same logic, but like transplanted into a more video gamey setting.
Would you say it's similar to Chemo Mimi Panic?
Fuck off.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes.
There's a map awareness aspect to it. That's not
enough. Yeah. And there's the other thing is like the task system. Basically, like everybody gets assigned random tasks, and if they complete all of their tasks before the killer like kills everybody, then they the team wins. Absolutely, a million times more fun with like a group of people over Discord. You lose some of the fun of basically like trying to listen to your friends try and lie when you just do it through text. So
I was going to say, that's my big issue with this game, is that with hidden identity games, I'm used to talking for the entire time. And in this game, in the in-game settings, you only talk right at the end of rounds or if someone calls a meeting, and that just feels so odd. I mean, I know the game's got like a different focus and it's intentionally divided into phases, but I feel like the talking part is always the highlight of these games, and this game doesn't encourage it.
I don't know how you would work around it, though.
No, I don't either.
Yeah,
because you've got different like objectives to do. You can't necessarly be
like
talking
if someone dies and they say, "Oh fuck," then like everybody knows to immediately call a meeting and stuff. But yes, listening to your friends try to lie is incredibly fun.
I feel like it can be quite good the way that it works though, because then you have to rely on remembering what you've done during the round to kind of like put yourself out of suspicion. I would be fucking terrible at that. I would be so bad at this game.
The key hacks, Mike's Among Us hacks. A, switch to push to talk so no one can hear you laugh while you lie your ass off. B, don't let people connect you with the body in their minds at all. Like, let them, like, if you're the killer, let them form their own connections. And when you say, wow, man, that's messed up, I don't even know who to vote for. Like, don't sound obvious like that. This has been Mike's Among Us hacks. You can become a top tier Among Us player with these secrets.
What does Among Us do that, say, me playing Secret Hitler or Werewolf or Mafia or whatever, like on my own time without needing a video game component would like? What does it do better? Why?
It just plays completely
better?
differently. Like it essentially at its core it is the same thing.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more different things to it. Like
there's a map that you wander around, and there's objective mini games that everyone has to compete in. Or not compete in, that everyone has to complete. And then the traitor is somebody who moves around the map and can kill people while they're engaged in other tasks. But you have a sort of peripheral vision. So the first phase of the game is entirely about both doing your task and trying to keep an eye on everyone and what they're doing, and also trying to remember like where you saw people and who you saw and what they were doing at the time. And then the second phase is your traditional hidden identity game where everyone just goes nuts and accuses everyone else.
Yeah. The task thing gives like a ticking clock for like the killer. Instead of just being strictly divided into rounds, like it gets divided into rounds like naturally, because whenever you see a body, you can call a meeting or accuse other people because they walked by that body and they didn't do anything. a good amount of fun. Buddy system is always fun to do because it's like, yes, I am going to buddy up with this one person. I don't care if I'm not doing my tasks. And then if somebody doesn't abide by the buddy system, you immediately accuse them.
The genius meta. Genius.
Yes.
The buddy system never fails.
Oh yeah.
There's different bits of it that you can turn off and on. Like you can turn off the task completion tracker at the top. So there's a big bar that all crew members can see, which updates whenever someone completes a task until it gets to complete. And if you suspect someone of being the killer, then you can watch them pretend to do a task, see that the thing's not updating, and then accuse them based on that. But you can have modes where that you can turn that off, so you can't actually see if it's updating and things like that. So you can increase the difficulty based on different elements of it.
Ah, yes, but if you're alone in the room with them, and they might kill you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, it's fun. Smiles all around. I give it 6 smiles.
That's Among Us, and now the list tells me that we're on Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yes, another game I played.
Mike, you've played all of these, damn.
Yeah, I played I did not even go through every game. I added a couple recently. I just finished fucking Pathologic 2 for the second time. Awesome shit.
I need to play Pathologic 2.
Very, very timely, obviously.
Yeah. I need to not play Pathologic 1 and just play Pathologic 2.
Yeah, no, you can. Everybody can skip Pathologic 1 and just play Pathologic 2. Perfect game for right now. But Horizon Zero Dawn, mechanically really solid. It's fun. It has that kind of Skyrim or BioShock thing where it's there's a boss fight that's just kind of positioned somewhere, and then you can plan around it and set up to your heart's content. Nice. Tight controls, tight gameplay. The story is for babies and just dumb as hell. But it's fine. The story never got egregious enough that I was like, I want to stop playing this because these characters suck. But yeah, story's nothing to fucking write home about. But yeah, solid open world exploration gameplay, kind of Monster Hunter-y. And,
what do you do other than exploring? You sort of hunt robot sheep, right?
Yeah, you hunt robot sheep and dinosaurs, which are basically created by this big supercomputer to help reprocess the Earth, to make it habitable again.
Yeah, kind of terraform it.
Yeah. But then a virus takes over, which is basically another program that was there as a safety measure of what if we fuck up the terraforming? We need something to just kill everything and start over, and that's the central antagonist. It does that open world thing where it's I talk to you, I go to quest marker, I come back. There's a decent amount of crafting. They have loot boxes in a fucking single player game, which is genuinely baffling, why they would do that. But yeah, it's solid. 4 smiles.
I've got nothing to say about this at all.
Mash, did you play it as well?
I played it over a very long period on the PS4, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I did sort of drift away from it every so often and just drift back. And like you said, the story it's all right. It's not. It isn't anything incredible. Have you played the? Did you play the DLC stuff though?
Yeah.
The Frozen Wilds.
Yeah, and another part where the story's just all right, but it's some interesting gameplay challenges. It looks great, by the way. Graphically,
fantastic visually.
Yeah, looks excellent. Except if you're spending an hour fiddling with HDR, which I've never gotten to. It's the only game I've gotten that to work in is No Man's Sky. But yeah, the Frozen Wilds is really good. Still same hammy kind of story, but some decent upgrades. I would recommend if you're looking for an open world game that's not Pathologic 2.
Yeah, it's kind of Monster Hunter light.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I don't really like Monster Hunter, but in that you go around and you harvest things from monsters to upgrade your gear.
Does it still run like shit on PC?
Ran pretty well for me. I know like a bunch of people had issues like at launch, but it largely seems to run pretty well for me.
Because it was one of the games that I was like, maybe I should get a PS4, but never did to play. And now, like, I kind of would like to give it a try, but
It's definitely slow in the first act where they're trying to like do their whole fucking story and how fucking important it is and blah blah blah. It's
I love a shit story though.
Yeah, it's very like hero's journey kind of Hunger Gamesy shit.
Stun, love it.
If you're a fan of young adult fiction where things are divided into trilogies and there's like a cute boy, but then you realize in like the second part that like there's actually this other cute boy that you might really like, but then in the third part you go back to the first cute boy.
That's not what the Hunger Games was about.
No.
Then this is the game for you.
That's why the movies were shit, because they missed the whole point of the book.
The whole point of the Hunger Games was read the first one, then don't go any further.
False.
Yeah.
Listen.
No.
Listen. If you read books for the cute boys, then play Horizon Zero Dawn.
If you don't read books, play Horizon Zero.
Yes.
Wait, Shiny, you read Hunger Games?
I read all of them, yeah, and I
You
really
read
enjoyed
books?
them. Yeah, exactly. I don't really like books, but I really
You liked
fucking
the
liked.
third one?
Oh, it was Devo. I was
No,
so upset at
dude,
the end.
The third one was irredeemable garbage.
I like books that are all nonfiction and about cooking and
I
and
like
political
reading
theory.
religious texts.
Ooh,
you
we got
do,
a, we
don't
got,
you?
I
we got a-
do.
We got a little Josh Sawyer over here.
Did you ever finish the Quran?
No, I haven't finished it yet. I put it down a while ago and I haven't picked it back up, unfortunately.
Did you ever finish that book with the 7 trumpets about how the world's
Yeah,
going to
that
end?
was- that was
God,
short.
that one's great. No, that's on my shelf somewhere.
I would highly recommend Book of Revelations. Like genuinely one of
We-
the cooler things like ever written. Like
It's like the Game of Thrones of the Bible.
That's not.
it's like fucking phantasmagoria
Is
of
it the
the
Dark
Bible.
Souls of religious texts?
Yeah, no, it's way easier.
I agree.
than-
It doesn't take long to get through, and it's a really cool surreal horror story.
Yeah, it's-
it
Don't
is.
read
it's-
Revelations.
genuinely like insane. Like if you're looking for pandemic reading, Book of Revelations.
Well, we
I'm
were
on it.
we were sat at my house like when everyone was round, and through it was at the meetup, wasn't it?
No, I
Like,
think it was
through-
just when it was the
Was it
week
just you and
before the
me?
meetup, and it was just us.
Yeah.
And then like the
a
door
clunk
knocked.
comes through like my letterbox, and there's just a like biblical text has been dropped for free through my letterbox, and it's just like someone's dissertation on the Book of Revelations, and it's got like stuff explaining what the 7th trumpet means and things like this, and it's just like.
Just like
Why
the
did you
man.
put this through my door?
Once again, I am very delighted how your country is becoming much more like mine.
That was an
Yeah.
exception to anything I've ever experienced before. That
Yeah.
wasn't.
Oh no, we get like local psychics will do things like they'll like circle things in newspapers and then drop them off at your house saying, "I thought you would be very interested in this."
This is completely off topic, but I just remembered another funny thing that we received through Specs' post box was like, you know how sometimes you get like junk mail, which is like a Domino's menu on that shitty plastic paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got that, but it was for someone selling weed. Do you remember
Fucking
that?
Yeah,
awesome.
no, it
Awesome.
wasn't for.
It's
It was
fucking
for like
cool.
a CBD store, so I think it
Oh,
was
that's
legal.
weird.
But
CBD doesn't do jack shit.
So, if you, hey, folks, if you've got imposter syndrome, CBD, that's the drug for you.
But one thing came through my door today, speaking of both Domino's and imposter syndrome. Romano's Pizza flyer just came through my door just
Nice.
That was one of the funniest fucking things because I grew up in like around Washington D.C. and Maryland hadn't legalized weed, but DC had. So it's really funny to just like the capital of the fucking country, and you'll just walk down like a block, and all of a sudden it'll just reek of fucking weed, and there'll be a guy like hey man, we don't have our license yet, so you get a free bag of weed if you buy this $20 T-shirt.
So apparently, the way that Sunday trading laws worked in this country for years meant that you'd get sort of furniture stores that would sell you a carrot for £200, and then you'd get a free wardrobe with it.
Sunday trading laws, man. Fucking Church of England fucking bullshit. Great, now I need something on a Sunday and I can't buy it. I hope God's happy.
That's what God would want. He'd want you to be hungry on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Do we have any more games?
Yeah, we do. Spiritfarer, go.
Fuck Spiritfarer.
Fuck Spiritfarer. Like,
Fuck Spiritfarer.
fuck it. Fuck
God
it.
damn
Okay,
it,
okay.
people.
Dumb.
You need
Spiritfarer.
Dumb.
explanation to this.
Okay, Spiritfarer. I haven't finished it yet. So I started it. I fucking loved it. Right? First 5 hours, I was like, do you know what? I'm playing this game on Game Pass, but I'm going to buy this game because I'm enjoying it so much and I feel like I'm going to get a lot of time out of it. The reason for that is because the first 3 characters you meet are absolutely lovely, really, really nice. Like, you get an attachment to them and it's amazing. After that point, every single character you meet is an absolute fucking cunt. Every single one of them is
very
a
happy
beast.
that you're very happy that they're dead.
Very, very happy that they're gone. I'm like, I cannot get rid of you soon enough. Atoll, biggest pain in my ass in the entire world. Hated him. Was trying to get rid of him for fucking weeks. However, the way
Yes.
that Atoll leaves is completely horseshit. So basically, when you like complete your storyline with each character, you're meant to take them back to the Everdoor so that they can go onto the afterlife, you know, in peace, whatever. Atoll is one of the ones you're meant to deliver, but when it's his time, he just fucking disappears. And I was like, oh shit, is that a bug? Is this broken? That's something that a lot of people were like putting on Reddit, like, oh, Atoll's gone. Is this broken? No, that's an intended plot narrative thing in the game that they never explain. Where they explain it is in the art book that you have to purchase separately from the game.
What?
Apparently, where they put about, I would say maybe 70% of the story of this game is in the art book that you have to buy separately from the game. They don't put the storyline for the game in the game. They put it in the extra stuff that you have to buy separately from the fucking game.
And on top of that shit, there is that stupid song that you have to play to make things grow.
You don't have to do that though.
You don't have to, but like, yeah, to get through like just the monotony of just sailing to different places. But the fucking rhythm cues are off.
Yes. Oh my god. Yeah. It's all like the button presses are all like equal, but the rhythm for the song isn't.
Yeah. No, it's not even like
except everything on the buttons is da da da. So
it's not even like on top of the beat. Like we're talking like a full like eighth note off.
It's off. It's off the beat.
It's fucking stupid. I wish the artist all the love in the world. Like it's very pretty.
Beautiful game.
Yeah. You go. That cat's adorable. I love the little like animation where like the cat's on like a glowing ball, so it doesn't have to touch the water. Yeah, all that cute as hell. The person who designed this though, you suck.
I have never had such an extreme turnaround on the way I felt about a game. Like ever. Like literally the first 10 hours or so, I was like, this is so nice. I'm really enjoying this. I love this fucking game. And now I don't even want to finish it.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, this is a fucking stupid shit game and I hate the people
Does
that
the
made
game
it.
even tell you that you should be like reading supplemental information
No!
for the story?
No, it doesn't say anything. It's just I found that out because Rusty told me while I was streaming.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell you anything.
The other thing is, so
go ahead.
apparently, if you own this game on any platform other than Steam, you can't, like, the art book is digital and it's DLC on Steam. So if you own it on the Switch, you can't just buy the digital art book on Steam because you need to own the original game on Steam to purchase the DLC, which is the art book.
I love sitting in front of my TV and reading a book on it.
Yeah.
It's just, it makes me so angry. Fuck this game.
Yeah, definitely dumb. You know what? When I think of like talking about like a subject like death and loss and like what people mean to you and how you get attached to them. You know what I think with that? I think crafting mechanics.
So No, I'm not going to shit on like any of the gameplay mechanics because I enjoyed that part of it. Like
Is
I
it
liked
Animal
building my
Crossing?
Tetris. No, but in some ways, yes, it's chores game.
Okay.
It is the worst Strand type game I played this
It's
year.
not Strand type. It's not Strand type. It is chores game though. Like you have to go to different places to like harvest materials, and then on your boat you have to have like 5 different things so that you can make the materials into one thing, and then put them all together to build it into another thing. So there's a lot of grinding chores work that you have to do, but that's not something I would ever criticize. Aside from the mechanics of some of the chores machines, because they're not really explained super well, but games having chores I love, so I'm not going to criticize it for that. I will criticize it all day every day for the way they handle the story, or not because they put it in the art book.
Yeah.
Pissed off.
Don't play Spiritfarer. If you have Game Pass, you have access
Just
to...
fucking read the wiki because that's more of the game than the game is.
Yeah, if you have Game Pass, you do have access to the preview for World of Horror, which is a ton of fun.
Which I also need to play that.
I don't have a slot booked for World of Horror, but now that I know multiple people here have played it, and I've been watching Happy Man streams of it, World of Horror looks fascinating.
Awesome. Great.
Junji Ito the game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Down to the unsatisfying endings.
I hope not.
I've never seen an ending because Wooly hasn't completed it yet.
I haven't survived a full run.
To be fair, Catman, that's just me fucking up the quest.
Right, if you fuck up the quest, you get a Junji Ito ending.
Yeah. which is it's poetic. Like a lot of the artwork has like some great fucking body horror. Like if you've ever gotten the condition holes, it's very, very unsettling.
The whole game is just gorgeous with the 1-bit palette and the weird monsters and stuff.
Yes. Second best 1-bit game I've ever played.
It really puts in the extra effort to present itself as an old computer game. It looks very legitimate.
Yeah, but it doesn't have any of like the weird like kind of clunkiness that you would have in those. Like obviously full mouse support. Like it. Yeah, we're not going through Dwarf Fortress here.
It has a slightly unintuitive user interface.
Slightly, it's not like a huge learning curve. Yeah, play World of Horror. It's fun. Good music.
I will. Do you know what? I will.
Good.
I'm gonna
just to get that Spiritfarer taste out of your fucking mouth. Yeah. Like it's so.
Do you know what pisses me off? I'm gonna finish it because I have to.
Because you've already played it for so many hours.
Yeah. You know, other thing about Spiritfarer, no cute boys.
No one gives a shit about cute boys.
I've stopped trying to finish games. If I'm not enjoying a game, I immediately put it down and play something else.
I was like 50-50 on being like, should I just drop it? But at the start, I was like, I'm going to 100% this game. And I can't go from that to just not finishing it at all. So I'm just going to finish it.
You don't force yourself to finish games. That's what Specs does.
I finish a lot of games. Like I need to like finish something if I start it, even if it's shit. And that's how I muscled through like another terrible young adult fiction game, A Plague Tale: Innocence. It's just awful.
That looks like a fun game, though.
Awful.
I thought it looked cool.
It like once again, the art people, you're the best. You're like those rats are genuinely terrifying, and they've got this cool like kind of swarming behavior. The story, dog shit.
It's children having an adventure.
It's children having an adventure, and it's again standard young adult thing. So it's like, I'm a teenage girl, but now I have to take on responsibility.
It's a coming of age story.
Yes,
all coming of age stories are the same. It's fine. Yes. They don't have to be different.
Except this one's got millions of rats.
Yeah, millions of rats. And oh man, there's an evil inquisition going on. And there's tension between you and your little brother, who's your ward. Oh, and your little brother has
Rat King little brother.
Yeah, Rat King little brother, which is played off for the most part as like either he has like a seizure disorder or peanut allergy equivalent. It checks every single fucking cliche. They made probably the best developer glow up of all time, because the game they followed that up with was Microsoft Flight Simulator.
If it's got so many rats, does it have Halo 3 rat?
Probably somewhere.
Why is there a resurgence in Halo 3 rats
Because
right
the Halo
now?
3 came out on Game Pass.
I don't know, I'm just Halo 3 rat.
I enjoyed Halo 3 Rat when I saw him in Halo 3. I said to Specs, oh my god, Specs, there's a rat here. And then I found out that there was also a meme of other people who felt exactly the same way when they saw that rat.
Would you say that you felt like a connection with those people, even though they weren't there?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a Strand type.
Is that
Strand
Death
type
Stranding?
game?
Halo 3 was a Strand
This is
type
what
game.
this is what he was going for.
Do you know, I didn't chime up at all when we were talking about Death Stranding, but do you know what turned me off from wanting to play Death Stranding?
Was it watching the story in the previews
No,
they did?
it was
Was it the
playing
baby?
Kojima's other game.
that's
Playing
the,
Kojima's
that's the
other
smart
games.
move, that is.
Because I heard about the whole thing where the babies come from just thousands of women in comas. And then I played his other games and I was like, oh, he just really hates women.
Yeah, that's
So-
fair.
He has very weird fucking views on women.
It's an odd way to pronounce the word fetish.
Yeah. I personally like how you're carrying around basically an infant version of Piss Christ in like a little tank for the whole game.
I've just scrolled. I've been scrolling through 4chan while we've been recording this. And,
Why do you torture yourself?
There's a thread on the Halo 3 rat that's just come up.
I don't like to go on 4chan, but if
I like
you
how-
want to give me the link, then
I
will.
like how 4chan is basically turned into just like Reddit, but with like the N-word.
Yeah,
No,
Reddit,
dude,
but with
that's...
even more slurs.
Yes, I was going to say, Reddit is already Reddit with the N-word.
God, they
Let's
Wait, let me
talk about
guess.
another video.
lost
Let me
their
guess, they
edge.
hate Halo 3 Rat because it's a normie
What,
meme.
what,
Oh
other,
yeah.
Okay.
what other games do we have?
The next game on our list, and I've reordered it because we've had a lot of 2D platformers, is Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
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 It's the comfiest nostalgia blanket I've ever been wrapped in.
It really is.
It's weird because the whole time during development I was like, how are they gonna fuck this up? How bad is this gonna be? And
Yeah.
Moogle played it. I watched him throughout the whole of it, so I've not actually played it myself. But it continuously impressed me with the way it integrated the original sort of tropes and themes, the way it expanded upon them, and the new things it did as well were not all bad, usually quite good actually. So yeah, I thought it was really cool.
I feel like it is a game that is entirely a vehicle for its 8-disc soundtrack, which is more expensive than the game itself. But even so, I haven't bought it because I'm not going to, but that soundtrack it's very fucking special.
It is some of the weirdest musical choices I have ever heard in a video game, but somehow also they fit perfectly. There's a song called Due Recompense, which if you could lay over here, Catsman, because I love it so much.
Yeah, that slaps.
It's such a fucking weird choice of song. It's like a mix of dub and techno and just odd.
It's a very
and
imaginative arrangement
so
of a
good.
song that wasn't that interesting in the original.
I don't know if it wasn't interesting. It fit perfectly where it was, but at the same time, this is somehow better, and I don't understand how. And then there was the way that they got lots of musical composers from across the Japanese video game community to join in as well, because they've got the Ace Combat guy. They've got several others as well, I think, that contributed to the soundtrack. Really, really weird.
It's perhaps the most varied soundtrack I've ever heard for a video game, but it does it so well.
Yeah.
It's very. I really like how they did the dynamic music. It shifts a lot depending on what's happening. One thing I noticed, it really holds out. It makes you wait for the main battle theme to kick in.
Yes.
The main battle theme doesn't come in. They play bits and pieces of it throughout the intro, but then after you've blown up the generator and you're fighting the Shinra soldiers, there's one moment where the full battle theme you recognize kicks in, and I'm like, holy shit!
So they
so
do
excited.
they do this other thing where there are no duplicate tracks in the game. So if there is, later on in the game they'll reuse a couple of them for some of the VR combat missions that you can do, but all of the boss themes are unique. All of the areas have unique battle themes. it's absolutely ridiculous how much effort they put into the soundtrack.
Yeah.
This is the power of an absolutely gigantic budget.
Tell me
Yes.
about
It really
the
shows.
gameplay and story.
I like both, to be honest, but like Specs will comment on. I guess I'll comment on gameplay, and so will Happy, and Specs will comment on the story.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
guess.
Yeah, I'll leave you guys to talk about gameplay.
Gameplay, I enjoy it. I went in with very low expectations because Final Fantasy 15 is complete fucking garbage. But they actually have managed to create a hybrid action and turn-based system that I don't hate.
Yeah, I was afraid it was
going
to play like. I was afraid it was going to play like 15, and I was proved wrong. Yeah, you switch between playing each character, and you're encouraged to kind of constantly switch between them to make use of their unique abilities. Everyone plays pretty differently. Tifa is the funnest because she plays she just plays like a platinum game.
She plays like an action game character. Like, it's fairly light action game character, but there are some other things you can do with cancelling and animations and all sorts of other stuff. But I think the only one that's not that interesting is Aerith. And even then, she's got her own kind of stuff that you can do with her. She's just very much like white mage, black mage character. Like,
she's got big hits though that feel good to do.
She does, but unfortunately, I have learned over time that Tifa just outclasses her in every single respect. Unless you desperately need like magic type damage, Tifa just completely outclasses her.
The great thing about this game, especially compared with the original as well, is the materia system is really good in this. So you can build your characters to be a lot of different ways. They've each got kind of, I think it's like 5 or 6 unlockable weapons,
yes.
Which you don't have to grind the weapons very much to sort of unlock their full ability. And each of them is tailored for, like, you'll have a balanced weapon, you'll have an attack type weapon, a defense type weapon, a magic type weapon. And because you've got these different sort of skill sets almost for your characters, you can build them in completely different ways to make, say, Cloud feel like just a magic user, or you can make him feel like just a rushdown attacker, or you can make him a support, and you can sort of mesh these abilities together to make a very different feeling party, even with the same 3 characters in it.
So I feel like the real downside of the original Final Fantasy VII is that every character ends up feeling exactly the same.
Yes.
With the exception of a couple of things like their limit breaks and stuff
it's
like that.
It's just limit breaks for me in Final Fantasy VII.
Final Fantasy VII Remake does a lot to actually make everyone feel different and actually usable and worth taking. And I really, really enjoy that. And even then, you've got ways that you can switch him up. Like, Barrett's a gun arm user, but like 2 of his weapons are melee weapons.
He's got like a drill, doesn't he?
He's got like a claw. I think he's got either 2 or 3. There's a claw and a cannonball, and maybe there's a drill, but that might just be in the original game. I can't remember if they added it in for this one, but whatever. Either way, I'm really impressed with the gameplay section of things, and I'm really happy that it ended up good. Because I had no expectations for it whatsoever. And it pleasantly surprised me.
The bosses as well aren't just like damage sponges. There's usually a bit of strategy, like you've got to hide behind cover, or you've got to target specific areas or drop things on them, so they work really well too.
And there's a nice ebb and flow between using your auto attacks and then building up using your auto attacks to get like the magic or whatever else. And I was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't brain dead to play. Like, maybe if you put it on easy mode, it is, and that's fine. Like, for those people, but I hated that Final Fantasy VII is too easy, and it's just boring to play. This was not boring to play at any point.
Yeah. So story I'll touch on. I don't want to give too many spoilers, I guess, but the original Final Fantasy VII, I only played it for the first time like 4 or 5 years ago, I think. I didn't play it as a kid. And it really impressed me, the original, with the pacing of the story and the way that like scenes would shift from sort of not exactly like FMV cutscenes, but just the like little in-engine cutscenes to you playing. And I'd be watching Cloud stand there and then be like, oh, I'm in control again. And that was really cool. And Final Fantasy VII's story is actually quite good. I really enjoy it. The remake didn't hit for me. And the reason is it's not a remake exactly. Rather than go into it in full detail, because Wooly's not finished it yet, what I'll say is they change the story from what it is in the original, and they make it really dumb and they make weird plot decisions, and it's not a remake, it's a kind of soft sequel that takes place at the same timeline as the original. Without kind of spoiling it, I can't say much more than that, but I don't like how the story plays out, especially towards the end. If it had been done as a straight remake, I think it would be perfect with what they add to the story and what they flesh out in the story, the way they sort of give some of the characters better backstories and things. But what they do towards the end of it is just no. It's just a hard no from me, and I don't really think that the next game is going to be I don't think it's going to follow the same plot lines as the original at all from
Does
now
it have
on.
to do with Sephiroth? Because I noticed he's a bigger factor in the first part of this game.
Yeah, definitely.
So the easy way to put this is that a long time ago, when Final Fantasy VII Remake was first announced, I mean like back in 2006, 2007 time, they said that Final Fantasy VII's Remake is the last part of the compilation of Final Fantasy VII. Which is all the expanded universe stuff that they ended up doing with Advent Children.
And spoilers, if you've not played the rest of the Final Fantasy VII compilation, it's fucking shit.
It's garbage. Although there are individual little bits that work, and they actually reused those particular bits in 7's Remake, just to add flavor to it. So there are characters that show up in 7 Remake that are in the expanded stuff that you wouldn't know if you hadn't played those, and I didn't know some of them as well.
All right, this doesn't really mean much to me, so I'll just talk about the stuff I like. They expanded. I think they made Shinra a lot better in this. Like it's portrayed a lot more like a real company.
Yes,
they brought it up to modern spec with corporate negligence and corporate evilness.
Culture. Yeah, they also reference the a lot of the poor people in the slums are like chafing under the gig economy or whatever. It feels a lot more modern. Which
this is
like
fake news.
This is a giant company making
fake news is a thing in it. It's great.
It feels like a place that people actually live and work. I think they've captured the feeling of a city with of the slums quite well, actually, and it's got a really upbeat vibe for most of the game. Actually, even though the people are living shit lives in the slums, it's still got a happy vibe the way it's portrayed, which means it doesn't feel gloomy and depressing, which is quite nice.
It's the best game I've played this year. As in released this year. It's the best game that I've played that was released this year.
Despite my problems with the story, I think it's great. It drags in a couple of places, but it's not too bad. I really liked it.
God damn it, I had more I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, man, give us a few more thoughts.
The characterization of Cloud is really good. They make him a lot more like an antisocial dork.
He is a dork.
All the girls being really flirty, I could take or leave. It feels like kind of fan servicey to me, but whatever.
I feel like he's the kind of person that they would be flirty with, and I think it's adorable that he just doesn't know what to do.
Chadley is fucking hilarious. He's my favorite new character.
Yes.
He just offers you to kill him.
Yes.
The Chadley.
The Chadley, the version Shinra.
Chadley's the best. I'm glad he's in.
Yes. Lots of people don't like Chadley, but I really like Chadley as well. I like all of the new stuff they've put in.
None of it feels too out of place, other than the weird stuff to the story.
Yeah, that'll become more apparent as you play Happy. I don't dislike it. I actually have reasons that I like it, but
we'll probably end up talking about it more at at our Games of the Year.
Yeah.
Bit, so we can leave it till then.
I think that's probably a good shout.
The next game on the list is Halo.
Hey,
yeah,
it's Halo.
So
tell us about Halo.
So me and Shiny have been playing through all of the Master Chief Collection on Game Pass, the remasters of Halo. I've played them before. Shiny's never played them before.
Brand new.
Most of them are still quite fun. I'd say Halo 1 and 2 haven't actually aged very well, but Halo 3 onwards hold up really well, for me at least, although those were the games I played the most, so it may just be my nostalgia is for Halo 3 onwards more than it is for 1 and 2. What did you think as a newcomer, Shiny?
So the best ones, ODST and Reach, 100%. Halo has a problem with ending their games. They just stop. a lot of them feel like they just stop.
I disagree with you on this.
When we had, well, it happened in 2 where there was that weird, like, not really boss fight, but it was kind of meant to be a boss fight apparently, and then the game just stopped. 1 and 3 are okay because they're like, oh, let's have a sick, like, escape on a fucking car sequence, which is like, okay, tight, whatever. ODST, I literally said to you, okay, should we stop there and pick up tomorrow? And you said, no, it's finished. Reach was a good ending, I think. Reach had a really good ending. But so 1 to 3, I feel like I was just running from one place to another place and shooting guys, and then we went somewhere else and I was running from a place to a place and shooting guys. And there's not a lot of feeling of plot relative stuff happening in, I don't know. When you're actually playing it.
I think maybe you might have been hurt by the fact that I knew what I was doing.
Yeah,
so like
I think so.
I wasn't waiting around for things.
I think that probably has a lot to do with it because if you're playing in multiplayer, whoever is in the lead, if you're too far behind them, you just get teleported onto their spot after a little bit. So I missed a lot of things because I was just sometimes dropping randomly somewhere that I had no fucking clue where I was. So there was that. I think that's probably a lot of it. Like if I'd been playing on my own and exploring, it might have felt a lot different in that regard.
Definitely Halo 1 and 2 have a problem with telling you something over voice comms, like a character will say, we need to get to X location, and then it just kind of leaves you without a waypoint or anything. And Halo 1's environments are way too big.
And they all look the same.
And well, Halo 1 is too big and a lot of it looks the same, so it's hard to orient where you need to be going. Halo 2 has the opposite problem. The environments are cramped and they all look the same, so you can't tell if this corridor is the one that you've already been in.
Everything is a labyrinth.
Halo 3 onwards, I think, give you a good sort of indication as to where you're supposed to be going and what you're supposed to be doing. Halo 3 via level design, Halo ODST and Reach via giving you actual objective markers.
Yeah, I think they did it the best in ODST because it didn't just say you have to go here. It was like you have to go here for this reason. So it kind of brought the plot into the gameplay. So you're like, okay, this is why I'm going to this location because I'm moving. I'm achieving this thing for my gang, for my squad. I really enjoyed being the Arbiter, and I want the Arbiter to be a playable character in every single game.
In every game.
Every game.
I think a lot of people are on board with that as well.
Yeah.
The Arbiter is
for Smash.
He's in Killer Instinct.
But he's not in Smash. He's not in Nintendo.
I liked Arbiter.
I had something else to say. What else did I have to say?
I want to talk about Halo 2's cutscenes. Halo 2, they remastered all of the cutscenes, and they look really cool.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. Yeah, was it in the first one as well, where if you press tab, you can switch between the original game and the new one? I thought that was really, really interesting because I watched most of it in obviously the new version, and occasionally I'd just be like, I wonder what this looks like in the original game, and I'd tab through and it'd just be like fucking polygons and squares around. It was really funny.
Yeah, I have some slight issues with the Halo 1 remaster as well, though, because there's points where you can be shooting at something, lining up your shot for something. You take the shot, and in the remaster, it looks like you should be able to hit it, but you swap it back to the old version, and you see you're actually just looking at a rock. And it's really jarring, and certain levels like is it Guilty Spark where you start meeting the Flood?
Yes, around there, yeah.
In the original, it's a little bit bland and grey, but sort of the feel of it is meant to be kind of this oppressive, like very alien sort of thing to make you feel like something's always going to burst out of the wall at you. Whereas in the new version, it's bright and it's bloom and it's awful and I hate it.
That's fair enough.
It just loses all of that feel of actual oppression and just, because it's so light as well. You never need to use your flashlight.
You don't feel like it's sort of scary and dark.
I don't think I ever actually did use my flashlight.
Maybe in Halo 1, yeah.
If you're playing it in the original version, because there are more than just the first bit where you're in the tunnels and the ship that you actually do need to use the flashlight because it does actually get dark.
Yeah. It's really interesting what they did with the graphics. Like, the game is still running the original game engine, and it's just an additional graphics engine that they've plonked on top. So when you hit the tab button, it just turns off the additional graphics engine to show you like what it's sort of emulating or kind of the native underneath Halo 1 that's going on. So
That's very
it's really
interesting.
cool. Same with the music
is
as
pretty
well. Music
cool.
and audio they've
Yeah.
remastered.
Well, they
Yeah.
did the same thing with Command and Conquer. Like you could like just hit tab and see like this is what's going on in the original.
Yeah, it's really nice to be able to do that though, and I'd like if all remasters had that option to just flip back to what it looked like before.
I remember playing the Monkey Island remaster and spending the whole time flipping back and forth between the new graphics and the old graphics.
Yeah.
I remember playing the Fable remaster and just wanting to switch back to the old Fable because they completely fucked up the remaster.
They remastered Fable?
Yeah, I know.
Fable
right?
Anniversary.
Yeah, Fable. Yeah. They put it in like a new engine, and like a bunch of the models like didn't translate over. Like, it looks like shit.
But
Any last thoughts on Halo before
One
we
more
move
thing
on?
to say about Reach.
yeah,
They
go on.
only give you the energy sword right at the end of a level. So you get it and then you lose it immediately. And that, hurt my feelings every time.
The Halo still holds up pretty well, other than maybe some difficulties with Halo 1 and 2. ODST has the best soundtrack, followed by Reach.
True. ODST's soundtrack's really good.
Halo 1 through 3's soundtracks is just one song rearranged multiple times. Halo ODST actually has a soundtrack. That's my opinion.
In Halo 3, I think it's Halo 3, you get the Enya soundtrack. Do 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 do.
Yes, you do
Oh,
actually.
You do
you're
get
right.
the Enya music.
Get
Yes.
that Orinoco flow going.
Yes.
There's a leitmotif they use in Reach that sounds like the leitmotif for like the main one for Shrek as well.
Oh my god, yeah.
What the hell? Well,
Like,
there's
at the end,
Oh,
yeah.
so funny.
There's two fucking things for fucking Halo because it's and then da 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 da. Like that's it, right? Like, are there any
That's
other
Halo 1 through
motifs?
3. Halo ODST and Reach have actual other songs, and I don't think ever even used that. Maybe once
I
in
think
the
they do
game
the
it uses the...
Yeah. Oh, dude, no. There's a making of videos where like Steve Vai is in there just like fucking shredding that.
The best thing in Reach is that song that goes... That one.
Oh
that's
no,
good.
we're going
Yeah,
back
the-
into Specs humming territory.
No, that was the one where like the elite guards what are they?
The Zealots, yeah.
Zealots, that's the ones. They
See, he
come in
knows it.
and stab and just pull the guy out of the doorway, and he's like, "Ah!"
The next game we're going to talk about is Fall Guys.
Nah.
Yes. Right up there with Tony Hawk's in terms of games that you don't really have to commit a whole bunch of time to. Just stupid, fun party game. But apparently, like Devolver Digital's most successful game.
I can imagine.
I mean,
Yeah.
there was a period like a month ago when everyone on Earth was playing it.
Yeah, and it's nice. It's fine. It's the onion thing about deers. Deer are fine. I like the I do like the soundtrack. This just like relentlessly happy, really blaring kind of music it's fine. It's fun.
I only played it briefly, but I guess it's getting to the point now that people are getting way too good at the game. And
Yes,
ruining it for everyone.
yeah. Like I get eliminated in the first round all the fucking time. So I've only rarely seen like the rest of it. I imagine if I played a bunch, I could get better at it.
Are people still playing it? Like
Yeah.
it seems like it was so big for a couple of weeks, and then it's just like nobody cares anymore.
It had a season 2 thing happen recently.
Yeah.
It's doing a fortnight.
Yeah, it's not dead like one of my favorite games, Genital Jousting. You can't find a
Fuck that
lobby for
game.
that anywhere. You didn't sit down with your special friend and play the date night thing. I think like it is like one of those things like Fortnite where like the demographic skews like way younger.
Do you think you'll go back to it? Do you think it's going to be something you keep going back to and picking up now and again, or?
I don't know. Like, I mean, it's fun enough. Like, I was talking earlier about like how like Tony Hawk really works for me because it play it in like 2-minute sessions, but and it's like okay, but like it doesn't. There's no advantage to playing it like say like over Discord like as a party game. Which I think is why it's not not going to have like the staying power of like say like any of the Mario parties or something like You Don't Know Jack. Like it's just this kind of like big free for all. There's no genuine kind of like need for sort of social interaction with it.
Do you think they'll make a version of it where you can like just like as a group of friends have like a tournament thing? Because I think that would be good, and that we would probably play that at meetups if they did that.
If there was like a version for that.
Yeah, no, that would be awesome.
Have they said they're like, are they going to, or are they just going to rest on the success that it's got now?
I don't. I have not looked at anything that the developers have communicated because it's Fall Guys. Like what insights are we going to learn about Fall Guys?
Read the patch notes.
Yeah,
I
can't believe they fucked with the acceleration. Yeah, Fall Guys is fine.
They've said that they hope to bring a couch co-op split screen mode to the table at some point, but no definite when.
Games used to be finished when they came out.
Yeah,
I'm in that.
Have these features from the beginning, please.
A lot of my friends played that game, and I did not buy it. And the reason I didn't buy it is because it had a cash shop, and I was like, "Why would I pay 15 quid for a game that has a cash shop?"
It's true. No one ever talks about the fact that it's got a cash shop, but it
because
does.
It's an incredibly pointless cash shop. I think they built this game with like merchandising in mind.
Kazman, if you keep passing on games because they've got a cash shop in them, eventually you're just not going to be able to play new games.
That's fine. I'll just play old games forever.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
I'm resigned
I mean, there's
to
enough there. So.
Yeah. No, we'll all sit on our hands until Zwab makes another game.
Exactly. The next game on the list is Beat Saber. I'll allocate 5 minutes for this because I don't think anyone has that much to say about Beat Saber.
I'd call Beat Saber VR's killer app. Tell me I'm wrong.
I'd go with you on that.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. Like the first thing I got when I got my headset was Beat Saber, and I have been really enjoying it, and it's been really good fun to sort of sit and play and just take turns with my other half. And
it's a really simple game executed really well that has a lot of depth to it.
My favorite Beat Saber content is that picture of the younglings with the Beat Saber.
Master Skywalker, there's too many of them.
Too many of them, what shall we do?
However, recently they've released the multiplayer update, which is all well and good. It's all well and good, but there are a couple of major problems with it, in my opinion. One, the game lags a lot more now for some reason. Even in single player, it doesn't really make any sense, but it happens. And also, just like I feel like I'm missing notes more as well, and it feels really jank. And they've also completely fucked up the UI. It looks terrible now. It's ugly. It's awful, and I hate it. Also, when you fail a song in multiplayer, you're just forced to sit there and watch other people flail their arms about very laggily. And you can't, so you just wait for the next song. So if you go out in the first couple of notes of the song, you're just like, well, what am I going to do for the next 2.5 minutes? Just sit here and do nothing.
Get better at the fucking game.
Well, yeah, there's that.
Except you
can't.
Bring out a battle royale mode where the songs are all 20 minutes long and just like you have to be the last one of 100 people flailing your arms.
I have a question. So this is something I absolutely noticed with Guitar Hero 2. like anyone who's way into Beat Saber or really good at it, like, are you a musician?
Not
'Cause, like,
necessarily.
Yeah, like because like I was friends with a bunch of them like in college, and like everybody who got way into Guitar Hero was never very good at music, like or like very interested in doing it. Like it's an opposite kind of correlation.
I think it probably gives you a sense of rhythm, which is handy. Like you know, if you want to sharpen up on sort of, I don't know how to put it other than saying rhythm again. Like you'd probably learn to be more on beat by playing Beat Saber.
I see. So I remember, like input lag becomes like a big thing with this, and I remember a friend of mine who's a really good drummer, and he's like, "It's like, okay, so the way you have to think of it, like if you're ever doing like something like jazz or like in like a kind of like a rock setting, like you can play on top of the beat, as in slightly ahead of it, and to play Guitar Hero, and apply like your what you know about music, you have to be on top of the beat, like this weird kind of thing where you're constantly going ahead of where you're supposed to be anticipating like where the beat's going to hit.
I like to imagine that this is why I'm shit at rhythm games.
Well, because you're good at music, you're
because
bad.
I actually do things on the beat instead.
It's a good excuse.
Yeah, exactly. No, I whenever I fuck up, I'm too good of a musician.
Yeah, exactly.
to be good
I
at
just
this.
remembered something else about Beat Saber, and not to bring up Shrek again, but
Yeah.
I follow someone on Twitch who did Beat Saber to the entirety of the Shrek movie on stream. The whole sound of it. So that's something you can do in Beat Saber as well, as you can Beat Saber movies.
Doesn't sound healthy.
No.
It's really nice just to be able to download a load of stuff. It is healthy, you burn a lot of calories flailing your arms.
Oh, no,
so.
I mean doing the entirety of Shrek in Beat Saber. I don't mean Beat Saber
would've-
itself.
I want to Beat Saber through all of My Dinner with Andre.
The weird thing about Beat Saber is it does what it does so well that I've played other rhythm games in VR and it's just been like, why would I get this when Beat Saber already does this but better?
Yeah, I'm the same. There was one that one of my friends was really into where he had to like shoot a gun at guys in rhythm to the music, and I was like, it's all right, but it's not Beat Saber.
Yeah. There's one that the Audio Surf guys made as well, where instead of hitting the notes with like a sword, you've got like shields that you hold up in the right direction.
Heard that one was bullshit.
It's not great, no, but it makes its own beat maps. I think that's the appeal of it. Like it does like Audio Surf and makes its own beat maps, but they're not as fun. It's not great.
To weigh in on the music comment, I am a musician and I'm terrible at Beat Saber, but then I don't perform any music anyway, so there's no reason for me to be good at it.
My theory still holds.
And now we're going to move on to Shovel Knight and its expansions.
I've only played the original, but it is a fantastic game.
I am in the same boat. I have not got around to playing the expansions yet. I really, really, really like the original, though.
So I am basically here to tell you that Plague of Shadows I can take or leave because it just has the same levels as the original and the movement is kind of awkward. But Specter of Torment and King of Cards are two basically entire Shovel Knight half sequels. They are packed with new visuals, new areas, new mechanics, new movement tech, particularly new movement tech, new music, just everything new. King of Cards has an entire cards minigame in it that's really fun, like a collectible card game within the game that you can play to earn like extra pocket money and stuff. And I would particularly call Spectre of Torment, like, it's up there with Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze.
Interesting.
The game design just made me go, whoa, this is amazing. Like, all of the different mechanics and the interplay of them and how just meticulously the levels are designed by someone who clearly has a really good sense of how to design 2D platformer levels.
I was going to say, Spectre of Torment was easily, was the one that easily impressed me the most. King of Cards, I was kind of like take it or leave it, and I also really enjoyed Plague Knight. I really enjoyed Plague Knight's movement because you could just get so much airtime with all like the upgrades you can get and just like rain down bombs for like ever. But Specter Knight was easily like the one that it just felt like it felt the tightest and the movement was like the most crisp and the levels were like designed the best for him, I feel like.
It felt so good moving around. For reference, it's kind of like Ninja Gaiden. You can run pretty fast and you can run up walls and you can jump off walls, but you can't jump very high. So the way you get height in that game is by doing a slash attack. And when you slash off anything, be that an object or an enemy, if you're below it, you go up. And if you're above it, you go down, like at an angle. And they do so much with that one mechanic. They keep it feeling fresh and interesting for the whole game. There's so many different ways that like the various enemies and objects in the game interact with that. It feels just so good to move around in that game. For reference, Plague Knight's campaign is like I don't know how there's not a 2D platformer that I can describe that plays similarly. You fling yourself around with explosions. King Knight feels like an incredibly aerially mobile Wario, if that makes sense. Like his main move is like a shoulder bash, but then that goes into either a roll or like a pirouette that you can use to bounce off things. And again, they do a lot of really nice stuff with that.
It's almost like a Wario Land DuckTales hybrid.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the movement in all three is really inventive. Like
I was like all four.
Yeah,
base Shovel Knight as well.
Shovel Knight is as well, but like I think they're the only game developer I know that's not content to just be like, okay, the movement in this game will be like Mario or it will be like Mega Man. You know, they're doing something new.
Shovel Knight, I haven't played much of it. I've played just the original one, and I just never got around to finishing it, really. I own Specter of Torment now, so I should play that too. Shovel Knight, to me, like, I really like Zelda 2, so it kind of scratches that itch. It's a bit more Mega Man-y than that, I guess. Like, you've got a lot more platforming, I guess, than in Zelda 2, but just being able to sort of, like, stab things in multiple directions, and it's nice the way you can sort of pogo off stuff, similar to DuckTales, and yeah, it's got a nice movement system and combat system, and there's so many different things you unlock to use, like magic wands and sort of the rush that you get in the air and stuff, the helicopter thing. So it's cool. I like it.
I mean, my main thing to say is, like, if you bought Shovel Knight before a certain point, you will have gotten all the expansions for free. They'll just be sitting in your Steam library or whatever. Please pick them up because they are just as good, if not better, than the base game. They've got all, like, new stories and stuff. And I like the dialogue in Shovel Knight is always enjoyable.
Yeah. Especially the King Knight one was probably the funniest one.
I love King Knight.
Also, those games soundtracks.
Oh yeah,
good.
They
Is it
slap
Kaufman?
fucking shit.
Is it Kaufman?
It's
Jake
Jake Kaufman. And again, all of them have new music, but in particular, the King Knight one has like more new music in it than there was music in the original Shovel Knight soundtrack. There is so much of it.
Oh shit, really? I didn't know that.
All the new areas have new music, and then there's tons of Joustus music as well.
Right.
Okay, it seems we've discussed everything we can on Shovel Knight. The next game on the list is... I don't know what Remnant from Ashes is. Can someone explain it to me?
Souls-like.
It's kind of a Souls-like. It's a third-person action game, mainly a shooter, that has the same UI as Dark Souls. If you can imagine the Dark Souls UI, that's what the game looks like. And it's got an emphasis on sort of you taking a lot of damage when you get hit, and bosses that have very large health bars and are quite unfair. I liked it. Mash, you played a bit of it too, right?
About an hour. Yeah, I didn't really. I feel like I still didn't even get past the sort of the tutorial part of it. It just didn't grab me at all.
Yeah.
Like it felt.
Did you play it on your own, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I played it with friends. I wouldn't play it on my own, I don't think, but I got it for free on Epic Games, and I think it's quite a fun thing to do with friends. It's got this it procedurally generates a world when you start, like with it's basically like it gives you a seed when you
Oh
start.
god, what the fuck? It's this Souls-like with random generation. They just try and
Yeah.
hit all the cliches.
Well,
Rogue Souls
It's-
like.
Yeah, it's if you die, like you don't restart or anything. It's just it makes it slightly different, the environments you're in when you go on a second playthrough. Some of the bosses are interesting, but most of them are just like the boss will summon ads and you have to kill all the ads and then like attack the
Yes.
boss until it dies. And the environments are quite varied actually. You go through like different worlds, you dimension hop sort of, and there's like an elvish forest, and there's like a irradiated wasteland, and there's a drowned city, and I think there's some good stuff to it. If you're into Souls and you want something a bit different, you know, you might like it. It's very fun to play with friends, but I haven't put any time into it solo really.
I feel like sort of saying that a game is good with friends, but if you're playing it on your own, it's not that great.
Yeah.
Means it's not that good of
Yeah,
a game.
No,
yeah,
some
definitely.
games are designed to be played with friends, and they're designed to draw out the social aspect. My example is always Diablo 2. It's a very well designed game, and it's very well designed to be played with friends and not on your own.
Diablo 2 is fairly fun on your own though. I enjoyed Diablo 2 quite a bit on my own. But yeah, Remnant from Ashes, is that Cyber Dark Souls?
It's not exactly cyber, but yeah, it's like, I mean, technology is similar to currently existing technology, but yeah, there's some futuristic stuff. There's some like wizardry stuff going on, like the dimension hopping. One of the like the irradiated wasteland you go to, there's like radiation wizards who use the background radiation of the planet to like attack you.
Okay, I'm interested
and
now.
there's the elvish area that just has sort of people who can do spells. There's like one planet that's just bug people, and you go through like bug hives and stuff, and so you're getting attacked by loads of like really giant insects and things. So that's kind of what you're in for. There's variety of things. It's not just humans you're killing and humanoids and stuff.
Okay, that's all the opinions I've heard about Remnant from Ashes. So let's move on now to GTFO.
Hoo-hoo! Fucking
GTFO
beast!
GTFO is it's one of those games that's designed to be played co-op. Definitely, I wouldn't want to play it on my own.
But like,
It's
there you go.
It's by the people who made Payday the Heist and Payday 2. Some of the developers of that are on it. You play as convicted criminals who have been put into a horrible situation where they're going into a subterranean like facility, having to either sneak past or kill zombie type, not really like mutants, I guess.
Monsters.
Yeah, while exploring the facility and doing various objectives, and it's good. It's tense.
It's very,
cool.
very good. We've completed one rundown. Is that right?
Yeah, we completed one mission. We
So
failed
we've
several
tried
times.
3
at others.
different ones, and we've only beaten one because when we started with 3 people instead of 4. And it really is made to just be played with 4 people,
Yeah, it's not
essentially. Unless
balanced.
you're looking for a really, really hardcore experience, you have to have 4 people. But it's really, really cool. It's got a very cool like vibe to it, like the mood that it sets. It's got some horror feeling, but it's like sci-fi action horror kind of thing, and it's very, very cool.
Yeah, the thing with the enemies is the enemies don't attack you unless you're making too much noise. So the whole game is like a game of grandma's footsteps, where you can see that the enemies are they sort of breathe, and when they're breathing, you know that they can detect your movement. So you got to wait for them to breathe, and then get slowly closer to them until you're in position to bop them on the head to take them out silently. But you've got to coordinate with the other people in your squad, so that you sometimes have to take out 2 or 3 at the same time.
Yeah, it's really nice to have like a multiplayer game where you actually have to work together to do it, because if you didn't work as a team, then you would be fucked.
Yeah. And you've got to
Completely fine.
like sometimes you set off alarms, so you've got to set up defenses because you know the alarm's going to get set off.
And you get different weapon loads out, so you have different kind of things that you can do for the team as well. It's really, really cool.
So you can have like an alien-style motion detector to tell if there's sort of baddies around, or you can have like trip mines, or a thing that will seal doors shut, or a
sentry gun.
Sentry, yeah. And what else was I going to say? The problem with it is that one of the missions we've done is extremely long, and we got very close to completing it, and then we had a disconnect, and the game doesn't have host migration at the moment. It doesn't have like auto balance for lower numbers of people than 4 people. It's very early kind of bare bones stuff at the moment. So while the main gameplay is extremely fun, it's not a good user experience, I would say. Yeah, I mean, we have had an hour and a half long mission end like twice because of disconnects.
That was an issue with Moogle rather than an issue with the game.
But it still should
it should definitely have host migration for that reason specifically. Like if it's gonna, because it was basically uncompletable at that point. Well, it kicks us out, didn't it?
But yeah, there's a very sort of methodical, slow pace to it. It's sort of, you've got to think a lot with it. You've got to coordinate.
And you've got the computers where you have to like enter like codes to find out where things are, and it's just really, really cool.
Yeah, you've actually got to like type into a command console on computers to like ping where objects are that you need to go and find and stuff. So that's cool. And the missions are kind of varied in structure a bit. So there's one where you're sort of exploring a large amount of the facility looking for batteries to power up a generator, but there's one where you just have to like get in, get an object, and get out without dying.
There's the one where we had to like carry the baby thing, the battery, all the way to a thing to charge the papoose to a charger, and then bring it all the way back, and then hold out while it like loaded up. It was fucking sick. Yeah. That's the only one we've managed to do so far.
I'd really like to play more of it. The only trouble is coordinating, so you've got 4 people to play it at all times. Because if it auto balanced to 2 people, me and Shiny could just play it.
We would have played so much of it if we could. Yeah.
So I think it'll be really good when it's at full release. They've just had an investment from our good friends at Tencent, so you know that they're going to be able to start ramping up that production. And adding a microtransaction shop. I think if it sounds like your thing, you could jump in at early access if you've got 4 people to play it, and it'd be fun. If you're a bit sort of unsure about it, just wait for a full release is probably a good idea.
But it's fucking sick.
It's cool. It's good. I like it.
I played Momodora Reverie of the Reverie. What is it? Reverie Under the Moonlight.
Reverie Under Moonlight. Yeah.
I absolutely hated that game. Happy Man, what do you think? Was it Happy Man who had played it?
I played
other than me. You've played it.
Me then. Yeah, I played it. I didn't hate it at all. I went in expecting a light kind of Metroidvania-esque game. It isn't that really.
There's some
non-linearity to it, but it's not really. Like, you can go backwards through certain areas, and it makes you go backwards and backtrack through certain areas. I don't really have too much interesting to say about it. I found it mostly competent. I don't think that there's much that's memorable outside of the art style, though, to be honest with you.
I want to say, if you're one of those people who enjoyed the first couple of Momodoras and you're like, pick this up. This game, it looks very nice. Number 1, there's no Metroidvania progression.
No.
You unlock the whole map at the start, and then you just have to wander around to collect trinkets. Number 2, even though it's that and you can do it all in any order, there's an RPG leveling system. So wherever you go first will be obnoxiously difficult, and wherever you go last will be obnoxiously easy. And the game is not balanced at all for it. The enemy designs are infuriating. The enemies aggro, they attack you from miles away. A significant chunk of them hit you with poison, curses, or debuffs. They don't have good wind-ups or good telegraphing. The combat is a really brain-dead 3-hit combo that you just mash endlessly on. You can stun lock every enemy in the game pretty much by mashing at them, which takes all of the strategy out of it. All you have to do is beeline towards the enemy. And the only thing that changes with the enemies as the game gets more difficult is they get more health. So you just end up mashing loads and wearing out your thumb. The game has a horrible user interface that's just full of arbitrary decisions and just bad UX stuff. You constantly have to juggle items on a quick select menu that has way too few things on it. There's loads of items that could have been passive buffs that end up going on the quick select menu. There's multiple different kinds of healing items that you have to have equipped at once that all could have been merged into one item. There's blocks that you have to push that take ages. There's an elevator in the middle of the game that doesn't look like an elevator, and if you accidentally step onto it, it starts going straight away, and you have to ride an elevator for like a minute one way and then ride it for another minute the other way. Oh god, this game is a fucking disaster. Do not play it. Do not download it.
Can I make a
thoughtless
recommendation?
and frustrating.
So if you are a person who enjoyed Castlevania Symphony of the Night, it sounds like it would be a good game for you.
I like Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I do agree with you that Castlevania Symphony of the Night has the horrible, awkward leveling RPG mechanics problem, but all of the other problems of this game are unique to this game.
I didn't find anything particularly offensive about it, but at the same time, I can't really, oddly enough, outside of some of the bosses and the art style, I can't remember much about it.
The art style is gorgeous. All of the artwork is gorgeous.
I'll give it that.
And a peak weeaboo.
It's cheap, and it's not particularly a long game either. So, like, if you have a particular itch to scratch about a slightly non-linear platformer, then go ahead.
Then don't download it, I've just become very sensitive to quality of life features in games, I think.
There we go. We've had the mandatory Catsman rant for a podcast. There you
go. Okay. Next on the list is something I have been dying to talk about for months, which is DUSK.
Hey!
Mike, you played DUSK. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What did you think?
I have only gotten I would say like halfway through it. It's pretty good. It's fun. It's folks, this is retro done right. It's a nice, like, tight little shooter. Has kind of like a lot of the like 90s like satanic panic vibes, which is cool. Yeah.
So you're halfway through the second episode right now?
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh man. So the reason I love DUSK isn't actually that much because of like the core gameplay loop. I mean, it's good. It's inspired by Doom and Quake. It's got well-designed enemies. It's got kind of interesting setups. It's got all the stuff that like Doom and Quake supposed to have, but it has probably some of the best atmosphere I think I've ever seen in a retro FPS. Like the number of like horror FPS set pieces and like just the oppressiveness of the atmosphere and like the architecture and how that like relates to how you feel in the game. Like there's some levels where you start up quite high and you just keep going down and down, descending into the earth forever. And all the corridors are getting smaller and smaller and darker, and all the light's gone from like natural light to like red light.
It's there was actually another game that does that very well that nobody else played, so I don't know if we'll get a chance to talk about it, but No One Lives Under the Lighthouse. Kind of way more in like the horror side, like part of the kind of haunted PS1 sort of genre of kind of horror games that try to use like old graphics like that. But yeah, like DUSK doesn't go like that far. Like it doesn't like downscale its like resolution or anything. But yeah, the kind of murkiness and griminess of some of those like low resolution textures or like low poly models definitely contributes to like what makes it work.
Yeah, like it's just oppressive. And there's a great bit in the middle of the second episode, actually, when you've been in like incredibly tiny, dark corridors for like hours of playtime, and you suddenly, without warning, enter into this giant, like huge open space, and it actually made me feel agoraphobic. And I've never seen a video game do that before. It's got like a precisely defined emotional arc just by architecture alone. It's like potholing. It's fascinating.
Yeah, it's the soundtrack, by the way, also fucking amazing.
Yeah, really good.
Really like it's similar to like what is it, like Mick Gordon was the guy who did like the new Doom, but a similar kind of vibe where it's that kind of combination of metal and like heavy electronic elements. Yeah, just good shit.
Yeah, really good game, great shooting, and in terms of the retro FPSs that have come out, it is by far the best because it's constantly introducing new things, so it doesn't ever get old. And that's the problem I have with most of the retro FPSs out there these days. The ending is a little bit bad. That's the only thing that I'll criticize it for.
Yeah. Dusk. That same publisher though is doing like a bunch of stuff. Like during E3, they had like a bunch of their games just like as demos, and I know they're doing like basically like a Thief-like game too. So I'm very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, I remember when they showed all those off. I think I played a few of them.
Yeah.
The Thief game looks cool.
Yeah, Gloomwood. I've played the demo. Tons of fun. Loved that, like basically like this is like their kind of thing. I would want someone to kind of compete with Devolver in terms of like hey, let's actually make good like retro games.
But between you and me, do not bother with any of the other New Blood games right now. Amid Evil is terrible. Ion Fury is also pretty bad. There's another one they made that was like Quake, or that they published, which was also
not
great.
I played the demo of that one. That was what
it was.
Ultra Kill was like a score-based one, wasn't it? It was like you want to get multi-kills and stuff.
But yes, the demo for Gloomwood is very promising. Super tight Thief-like game.
Ultra Kill has some really funny like graphics settings. You can set it to like have PS1 wobble emulated, and you can set it down to like as little resolution as you want. So you can basically set it to like, I don't know, 160p or something. It's quite impressive.
You can set it to anti-HDR.
Yeah, you can actually.
Nice.
You can set it to give you more motion sickness. I think there's a setting for that.
Hell yes. As someone who never got motion sickness from first-person shooters, I'd like to see them try.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's all we got time for in that. But I will now like to move on to Carrion.
Woo! And yet another game with kind of a weak ending.
I disagree very, very strongly with that.
I like the implication of the ending. I like the I like that's how it goes. But I just wish they had done it with like a bit more flourish. But overall,
I think it was perfect.
Overall, though, the game excellent. Like
really good.
Like that is a nitpick on a nitpick of things. Like, but like but yeah, overall excellent game. Super fun. You feel very gelatinous.
I felt so powerful playing that game.
Oh my god, yeah,
so beat. Like I was in a real shit mood when I started it, and then I was just like, you know what? Everything's fucking sick. Yeah, everything's great.
Fuck you and your shield. I'm gonna pick you up and just slam you through. Like there. It's at its best when you are like throwing someone through a door to knock somebody else out.
Mm-hmm. When you get some of like the later power-ups and you can just shoot spikes out that go through like 3 sets of doors and kill everyone near you.
Yeah. But yes, very much inspired by The Thing. Like visually, it's definitely trying to kind of summon that sort of like gross 80s horror with like shitloads of fucking like cornstarch blood.
It's real beast.
It's pretty fucking sick. The only other complaint was that I got lost a couple of times.
Yeah. It did need a mini map. It did need a map.
No, but you're a fucking monster.
Yeah.
Let me just start killing and open my map. Well, you don't have any fucking hands, dude. You're a monster.
Well, I mean,
yes, but something
hands.
to represent, I guess, what the monster remembers, because like I've had a couple of friends like complain about this too. Like they don't realize that they're in like a Metroidvania or that there's like an overworld map.
How can you not?
that connects to the other levels. Like
But
they thought they were
literally
going.
you can literally open up shortcuts to the other levels when you're
I
going through them.
I know. This is just something other people complained about. But
I
like
don't-
again, a nitpick on a nitpick of like an otherwise excellent game.
How much of a Metroidvania is it? Are you unlocking new powers to go back
Yes.
to other areas and stuff?
Yes, you are.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's just like Dark Souls.
What sort of powers are you getting then? Because
So-
I know you play as like a blob monster.
It's really interesting. So you get different sets of powers depending on how big you are. So sometimes you have to make yourself smaller so that you can use certain powers to get through to another place, or make yourself bigger so you can do different things.
Yeah.
So you start off small and you get, I think you have to like alternate between being big and small as well. Like when you're having to get your power-ups, like you don't get all of your small power-ups first and then all of your medium ones and then all of your extra large ones. But I think all of the extra large ones are a bit later in the game anyway. But it's just, yeah, it is essentially a Metroidvania, but you have to keep juggling with like how big you are, and if you're smaller you have less health as well, so you've got to be more stealthy. But then the smaller power-ups tend towards helping you be stealthy. Like there's one that can make you invisible for a short amount of time and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's
powered by like electricity, which feels fun too. You know, your big
Zap, zap,
scary flesh monster, and it's like I'm gonna charge myself up. The like one of the big things that like unlocks, like you gain the ability to basically like build up a bunch of momentum and like push through things. Then like also like you get the ability to basically turn into worms when you're underwater to allow
so
you
you can
to
go
through
through
different
grates and stuff like that. Yeah.
But yeah, would definitely recommend it. I have that goddamn Game Pass, so I get to play it for free.
Yes, I
Yeah.
played it for free, and it is quite short, I would say. It's 5 to 6 hours of what I got out of it.
Yeah.
So I think, is it like £16 to actually buy it?
Yeah.
I would probably put it around 10 to 12, but it is a fucking good game.
It's very good. And
I can't believe you didn't like the ending. I thought the ending was so good. Because
Oh,
like
yeah.
you get
It
that
was-
last one and then you can't go back.
yeah.
And it's just like, eerie.
I know, and then like you escape into the world. I like I said, I just wish it had been done with a bit more flourish.
I didn't think it needed any more flourish.
No,
I think
I
it was
think
it
it's
was
cool because
perfectly
you've had-
fine as it was.
Yeah,
just
because you've had
it
so
was
much like big, loud, boom, bash action all the way through, and for it to end on that kind of like eerie, quiet,
really
just like
ominous, really
yeah,
fucking
I
ominous.
thought that was so powerful. I thought it was great.
and I know I saw what they were trying to do. It's kind of like the ending actually to The Thing, which
yeah.
is, you know they're both like staring at each other. I don't know, like once again, it's a good ending. Don't let me dissuade you on that thing.
No, I
But
get it.
I guess I would have played it a little bit differently. But yeah, overall excellent.
Really good.
Okay, no more opinions on Carrion, and so we move on. Carry on up the Khyber, and so we move on to Into the Breach.
Yes, subset the goddamn goats. They're fucking great. I will. Any new subset game is going to be like a day one purchase.
This has been on my list forever. This game, I haven't played it.
Oh, just googled it. It's Final Fantasy Tactics.
It's fine. Yeah. No, it's Final Fantasy Tactics, but like kind of like with FTL, it is incredibly tightly designed. Like nothing feels extraneous or in a game where you're supposed to like play it again and again. It doesn't really feel like grindy. The story is genuinely interesting. So basically, yes, Final Fantasy Tactics, but it is you are playing as mechs that are sent into previous timelines to rescue people, to basically stop this alien invasion that is happening across all these different places. Key features that are awesome: you can undo any move you make up until when you attack. So like if you're like planning things out, you can literally just to your heart's content see what every combination is every enemy totally telegraphs their attack. Like, the only thing that is unknown is if, basically through like a dice roll, like if they hit a building, there's a chance that the building will just resist the damage. Yeah.
It's all about your positioning. You have to be in the right spot in order to block the enemy attacks, because you always know what's going to come.
Yeah. It's these cool kind of like tight little like sort of procedural puzzles that get generated. You have a bunch of different squads that you can pick from, just like FTL. Really satisfying way of kind of like unlocking them. Basically, like through getting achievements, you get a certain amount of stars, and then those are currency for unlocking the further things.
Much like in FTL, where you make runs in order to unlock new ships.
Exactly. Like, you can play on the easiest setting for FTL, and it's like, yeah, my goal for this run is not to win; it's to unlock more shit. But yeah, excellent music too.
Yes, glad you mentioned it. Awesome music.
Fucking sick. Yeah, it's the same composer as FTL. And has that exact kind of it's that perfect mixture between that sort of like chiptune sort of lo-fi sound, but he brings in like other elements that don't like necessarily like clash with it. Like there's like great guitar work.
The music just has a lot more gravitas than in FTL, I think.
FTL has an incredible like number of motifs and like restates them in a bunch of different ways. I'll find it and tell you to link it later. Just when you hear that first chord though in Into the Breach, that little that tight little like suspended chord, it's perfect in terms of atmosphere.
I should play Into the Breach.
Yeah, play it.
Yes,
Been free on Epic a couple of times.
Pipe in that very first chord for Into the Breach.
Oh, I should. If editing me isn't feeling late, editing me. Stop being lazy. Pipe in that chord. You dick.
Pipe in that bit of Shrek from the Halo soundtrack.
No,
too.
thank. Oh yeah, okay, I'll do that.
Oh, come on. Yeah, just everybody play that right now. That is a juicy chord.
That's a chord.
I'm going to throw the floor open now. A last session. Tiny Barbarian, DuckTales Remastered, and Streets of Rage 4. Anybody got any opinions on them?
I like Tiny Barbarian.
Underrated game. Pick it up if you can. Really hard, but
what
fun.
is it? I don't know anything about it.
It's just a very simple, hard platformer with a Conan the Barbarian theme.
You don't get many Barbarian-themed platformers anymore. They were everywhere in the 80s.
Yeah, Rygar,
Raston.
More Barbarian-themed platformers that exist.
There's probably loads. I just can't think of any.
As many games are, they are on my list.
Is it like classic Castlevania? That's kind of what I'm seeing here, or
little. I don't really know what to compare it to. Like I don't think it maps onto any.
Yeah, it's
old
not
NES
a clone
game,
of any existing game, but it's a 2D action platformer.
Nice basic combo system, and just a lot of classic sword and sorcery aesthetics.
Yeah, silly sense of humor.
I like those things. So
animal mounts.
Really difficult.
Yeah.
Rage Streets 4? Somebody yell something about it.
I enjoy Streets of Rage 4. It's a nice resurgence for the beat-em-up genre, which Specs hates.
I don't hate the beat-em-up genre, just it all feels the same, and Streets of Rage 4 is no different. So if you like Streets of Rage, you will like Streets of Rage 4. For me, it was a game where I stood next to men and hit the X button repeatedly, and occasionally the Y button, but mostly the X button. For me, a beat-em-up is only good if it's got some extra mechanic, like sort of the Scott Pilgrim game, or River City, or Dragon's Crown, where you've got like a leveling up system and you unlock new moves. You don't unlock moves in this, you have them all from the start. You unlock some characters, but they all play very similarly to me, and a person who doesn't play many of these games. So. And the boss fights are generally cheap and not very fun, especially the last boss fight.
So I have played it a significant amount more than Specs, and I can confirm that he doesn't know what he's talking about because he hasn't had enough time. And the time that he did spend with it was not ideal because he was playing it over Parsec with a degree of latency.
The latency doesn't matter because I just would have been mashing the X button anyway.
The answer is there is a combo system, there is a wall bounce system, a ground bounce system, and all of the other kinds of things that you would reasonably expect in a fighting game now.
All of your combos are activated by pressing the X button.
And the Y button.
Occasionally the Y button comes into play.
There is timing involved, and there is some difficulty and some nuance in that Specs will not appreciate because he doesn't care about the genre that much. The answer is there are things to do in it, and there are things to get better at, and the bosses are not cheap once you understand their attack patterns. And it is entirely possible to do it without taking any damage whatsoever.
Wooly, you played it too. What do you think?
It's alright. I played it in 4-player co-op, so it was pretty chaotic. I didn't get a good feel for the mechanics, so it's just fun.
Yeah. Also, the music is universally excellent. There's several composers, including the original Yuzo Koshiro. Also a French, Oliver de Verrières, I think it is, who does a very, very good job with several moments of the soundtrack. The art style is also really, really pleasant to look at. And the lighting and the hand-drawn sprites are really nice also.
Yes. That's a big plus.
And there's a lot of personality in those
sprites. Game, yeah. It's
a very good looking game. And it runs like a dream as well, no matter what platform you buy it on.
Although it's got weird... So you can't play it 4-player online, but you can play it 4-player on one console, which is really weird.
Yeah, I mean, given the netcode issues that they had, even with the 2-player mode, that doesn't surprise me in the slightest. But on the other hand, that's why we have Parsec. We probably got a better experience in 4-player with Parsec, or 3-player, I think it was, than we would have done with 2-player over their own netcode, because their own netcode wasn't that good, apparently. I hope they get the chance to do more games for Sega, because there are a lot of arcade properties that Sega own that, like, the people that made it would do really well with.
Yeah, I agree. Give me more penguin-related games. I'll settle for either Peng or Arctic Adventure.
What about Prinny? Would you take Prinny?
No.
Okay. Video games.
What
was the other one? Was it DuckTales Remastered?
DuckTales Remastered. Also, we didn't talk about Titanfall 2.
We haven't talked about Titanfall 2 yet, no.
Let's finish with that then.
Titanfall 2. 10 minutes, go.
It's a 2016 first-person shooter from the people that made the original Call of Duty games. It's got real fun wall running and double jumping and movement and momentum mechanics. And it's got the best robot bro in video games at the moment, so it can stay. Each level is different. Each level has its own kind of movement or kind of like navigation-related gimmick that you have to go through, and it iterates on them all very well. It's got some really nice set pieces. It's got the best button prompt in video games. And yeah, I have very little else to say about it. It hits some really nice story beats. It's got a multiplayer that I've played for, I will check, but it's probably like 1,300, 1,400 hours now. Yeah, it's also real cheap, so go fucking pay like £5 for it. Or
I can't imagine it has a better robot bro than that golf game robot.
I mean, he's less of a bro and more of an antagonist. You know?
He's not a bro at all. What
about Flingbot?
Flingbot's a great robot.
Which one was Flingbot?
He's in Anachronox.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
He will fling anything. If you
I love that guy.
If you play through Titanfall, you'll also know that BT will fling anything as well. So,
he does. He flings you quite a lot.
Fastball. Yes. If you've not played it, I would highly recommend it. It's often very cheap. It will also be coming to Game Pass at some point because EA have done a deal with Microsoft. So might as well wait for that.
The thing I would sell you on Titanfall 2 is that it's the only first-person shooter I've played since Half-Life 2 that felt like it was trying new things in like the level designs and the gimmicks and how, you know, in Half-Life 2, you're always doing something different. You're never getting bored. You're never just shooting through endless waves of dudes on the way to a different story objective. You're shooting through endless waves of dudes with a cool new mechanic to play with. And that's why I like playing first-person shooters that are good. Like Titanfall 2.
They play to the core mechanic very well. The core mechanic is that you've got a pilot who is fast and mobile and agile and can wall jump and wall run and all sorts of stuff. Then you've got your Titan who is a big stompy fucking robot. And it's the interplay between the two of them. So sometimes you have to get in the Titan because it's too dangerous and like there's acid on the floor or whatever. And you have to be in the big stompy robot. And others you'll have to split up and go and do different objectives at the same time.
I mean, most of the game is out of the big stompy robot.
It is, but they split it up nicely because you've then got more of a traditional kind of like, not quite cover-based first-person shooter, but more of a traditional like stand still, shoot thing until it die kind of method, rather than like going everywhere and sliding all over the place.
I would say that the out of Titan combat felt almost like modern Doom, because it felt like very movement based, and it's like I didn't feel super I guess I felt a little bit more rewarded to hide and cover compared to Doom, but I also felt very rewarded to just run up to people because of like how many movement options you have and how good your melee attack is.
You do a lot with, and the thing is, the game, I think the level design does a lot either to reward you for moving or to force you to move.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
There are segments that are just moving in the game, and like you're moving whether you fucking like it or not.
And they're good.
Yes, and they are. And the voice acting is universally like corny and cheesy and great. There's a really fucking good like fake Arnold impersonator in it, who I really enjoy. I really like him. And everything is just generally good, and I like it. The only thing that I think is kind of disappointing is the music, because it's kind of like standard Hollywood AAA game fare, but outside of that, it's, like it.
I picked it up mostly because I didn't really have any interest in the multiplayer, but I heard how good the single player was, and I got it on Amazon for like $4 or something.
Yeah.
And it's a really short campaign. It took me probably like less than 10 hours to beat.
Yeah.
But I had a great time with it. Even though as much as I'd heard about how good the game was, I still didn't expect it to be as good as it was, because like what Katzman was saying, it really tries a lot of new things, which I'm not used to in games of this vein. Like when they announced like, oh, Titanfall 2 is gonna have a campaign, I was like, oh sure, it's just gonna have like some lame ass dinky campaign that's just like every other first person shooter out there. But they really do some fun things with it. Like every level has like its own spin on how the game works, and they really push these mechanics to like pretty much their limit, and each level is like the perfect length. Like there was never a point where I was like, man, I'm kind of sick of this like mechanic. I think I'm done here. Like, you know, my only main complaint I had with it is like I thought the Titan combat was just all right.
Yeah,
it's
I was
a palate
bored by
cleanser.
it.
It's a palate cleanser.
It's a change of pace, I guess.
Like I enjoy the Titan combat a lot, mostly because of my multiplayer experience, because I can just breeze through it. But finding different ways of doing things in that is quite entertaining. But it is just there for the big set pieces to show that like there's a massive war going on with lots of war machines and other stuff.
Yeah,
To
it definitely fits
summarize,
thematically.
to the one motherfucker who's been recommended Titanfall 2 like 100 times and it's just been meaning to pick it up but has never gotten around to it. Guess what, motherfucker? I'm calling you out.
That was me just a few months ago.
That's me right now.
Yeah, it is.
I will play. It's kind of Game Pass. I get that for free. I will be playing it with my Bing search points. That's
Bing
how I
bucks.
will pay for
Let
it.
me
My Bing
backseat you
bucks.
when you stream it, and let me backseat you.
I
'cause
will stream it.
I
Yeah.
can't actually backseat you because there are no puzzles. It's
Yeah.
just it's like go forward
There's like
to obvious
platforming
objective.
though, isn't there? There's lots of platforming.
There's platforming, but it's not a puzzle. It is pure action. It is pure
Yeah.
like you know where to go. You can see that there are walls between you and like your objective. Run along the wall and double jump up.
Oh, it's Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's not a bad fucking analogy, particularly because it's about maintaining momentum if you want to go fast, and you should want
Kind of
to
like
go fast at all times.
Almost like a Mirror's Edge kind of deal, right?
Yeah, very
Yeah.
much so. Like you can tell it's veteran FPS developers on the top of their game, because like they've been doing this since like Medal of Honor or whatever, and they have really upped their game in recent years. And then they did Star Wars, which was good, but like not great. Yeah,
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Never
that
want to
the
see
new
a
Star
Star
Wars?
War again.
They made
What about Mandalorian?
Even Mandalorian, which was great. I was watching it. I'm like, wow, this is really good, but I wish it wasn't Star Wars. Wish they just made live action Samurai Jack instead. Like
Fallen
they
Order's
should've.
not bad actually. Like Fallen Order, which they made, is pretty good. I would recommend
And
that
looking
if
forward
you.
to playing that on Game Pass.
I don't
eventually
think
as
it's
well.
on Game Pass.
No,
I don't think you like they're not going to put the Star Wars stuff on Game Pass. I
Because
think.
they have EA has their own competitor to it, don't they?
They're adding EA Access to Microsoft Game Pass. So anything that's not on EA Access will not be on Game Pass either, and that isn't at the moment. Maybe in like 2 or 3 years, maybe.
I can
Maybe.
wait. I can wait.
Yeah.
I'm not paying £50 for that game. It's games are not worth £50.
I paid less than that, but I paid like full price at launch, but it wasn't 50 to play that.
It's like 55 on Steam full
It probably
price. I
is.
think.
Yeah, I mean, there's a Steam tax on that because of EA, but whatever. I paid that much, and I don't regret it. But at the same time, I wouldn't do it again.
Games are too expensive these days.
They're about to get worse because
And they're about to get worse because
PS5
of
ones
new
are 70 quid.
consoles. 70
Dark
fucking
Demon
quid.
Souls Remake, which is a remake of an old game, which isn't even that old. It's like 11 years old now. Is going to be 70 quid.
Here's the thing, right? I've been
They've added
thinking
nothing
about
new.
this. People always tell me, "Oh, well, yeah, the price of games plateaued in like the PS2 era, but before that they were more expensive." And I was the motherfucker buying like budget games for a $5, or like I've never known games to be expensive.
Nintendo and Capcom games in the Super Nintendo era were ridiculously expensive. They were like 45 to 50 quid in the UK at the time, which, if you account for inflation, is about 70 quid now, to be honest with you. So, yeah, fair props. If you imported games, they were like 80, 90, 100 quid.
But I was playing fucking budget re-releases of PC games, which you could get 3 of for a tenner in most.
Let's have a look at
weird
adjusted for
news
inflation.
agents.
Never pay more than $20 for a computer game. Where is it? Where is it?
This will cease to be the quarantine games recommendations and turn into games recommendations because all games are 70 quid now and everyone's poor because robber barons have made off with all our money.
So never pay more than $38.94 for a computer game at the moment.
Exactly. Yeah, kill your FOMO. Don't buy AAA games.
Yes.
The future is not buying games. The future is searching on Bing for many minutes a day in order to be able to get the games for free.
I told someone for a lark that I know a guy who searches on Bing to pay for all of his games, and they actually went and did it, and now they're a fucking Bing searcher as well.
Yes.
I've done it once or twice. I don't do it often though. Like I do it occasionally.
I have 12,000 Bing points saved up. That's almost enough for 2 months of Game Pass for PC, baby.
Is that including the price increase, or is that not?
That is including the price increase. Yep, I bought most of the Overcooked 2 DLC with no money. Due to Bing searches, I've spent like 20 quid on Overcooked 2 DLC, but it was free.
I feel like it's not a bad business model if they can make it actually pay for itself.
I've only paid £1 to Microsoft for like a year's worth of service, so that doesn't make sense.
The way that you're doing it is actually really good because, I mean, if you stopped paying it or if they stopped the service, you would lose those games, right?
I would, yes. But...
So the answer is, like, you do what you do, and then if there is a game that you particularly want to keep in the future, you buy it. Which is what you do anyway at the moment. So are you really losing anything? I don't know.
Your soul.
Time, perhaps. I mean, if you're giving them fake data, which is what they're actually paying for at that point, then who gives a fuck?
I mean, they pay me, I don't know what the price equivalency is, but basically in a month I can make enough Bing points to pay for a month's worth of Game Pass. And what I do is every morning I search on Bing just a random word like ass, and then I will highlight a sequence of letters from like the search results and just like click the button that says search with Bing. So they are just getting garbage data from me of like random strings of words. Often I'll just be in Arabic sometimes, like searching for things. Occasionally it'll come up with something really weird and I'll be like, I'll actually have a look at that article.
You're learning new things with Bing.
Ooh,
yeah,
Concrete.
I've had some
Who
weird
thought about
stuff
that?
come
Not
up.
me.
How did you get onto Concrete? If you
Concrete
don't mind
was
me
just,
asking?
it was featured in a podcast I was listening to, and then I think it was featured in a couple of podcasts I was listening to, but a podcast I listened to called 99% Invisible that's like about it used to mostly be about architecture, but now they branched out to just being about like design. They just did like a sort of 40-minute episode on Concrete and the current sort of status surrounding concrete use in the world. Concrete's bad, but also good. It's one of those.
Yeah.
What's
We're
wrong
locked
with
into it.
wattle and daub, huh? Why do people
What's
not
the-
make houses out of mud and sticks
I was
anymore?
about to say, yeah, why don't we just make
Where's a
stick
thatched
and mud
roof?
houses?
Give me the lowdown on Hades.
Hades.
Is a roguelite adventure crossed with a visual novel dating sim.
Hades.
Yes.
Hades
Yes.
is the game people.
Supergiant's best game.
Hades is the game that has been recommended to me specifically by more people than any other game.
Compared with other games that we've talked about, a game with cute boys. Yeah, it's that same Supergiant kind of like art style. Everyone is like attractive in this one specific way.
The man who's the main character isn't even called Hades.
No. Hades is his dad, and it's a game about fighting with your dad.
It's
Love
a game where you're trying to escape hell as the son of the king of hell so that you can find your mum. But each time you die, you get sent back to the start so you can try and escape from hell again. You get a different power-up after clearing each level or floor or room or whatever you want to call it as you're trying to escape. And these are randomized and they have synergies with each other, so you get more powerful and you get sort of more stuff as you move through the floors, getting up towards the surface, and eventually you're really strong and then you die to a boss and you go back to the start. But the interesting thing about this game is every time you die, all of the story characters will comment on the fact that you died. Like there's a guy who meets you in the puddle of blood you wake up in and is like, oh hey, this time you got killed by X monster. That's interesting. Like he'll do a whole thing.
Yeah.
You level up overall as you go through. There's a set of skills that you put a currency into that you retain after you die so that you get slightly stronger each time until eventually you're having to put difficulty modifiers on the game to make it harder so that you're getting more rewards when you go back through the game. And you're constantly sort of talking to people, increasing dialogue trees, learning more about the Greek gods who are supporting you and sort of the mythos and things, which is really interesting. It gives you a good reason to keep going back to it even if you finish the game because you want to interact more with these quite well-written, funny, attractive characters.
They've recorded a shitload of dialogue for it too, because it's meant to be played over and over again, but I don't think I ever got a repeat line of dialogue. How many hours do I have in it? Because I fucking blazed through this fucking game.
It's very contextual as well. It's like if you've taken a boon from, say, Poseidon, and then you talk to Zeus later on in a run, Zeus will be like, oh, so my little brother got to you first, did he? And it's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. It feels like they're all watching what you're doing up on Olympus and sort of taking bets and stuff on you.
Yeah. I have 50 hours in this game, and I beat it in a week, so it was my full-time job. In addition to my normal job, I would definitely recommend it. It's the most fun I had with a Supergiant game because they have a sort of specific style, that kind of isometric action kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and this is
a very set vibe.
Yeah, and this is as tight as they've gotten the actual action and hitboxes and that specific kind of loop.
The usual weakness of the Supergiant game, then you'd say is
yes, yeah. This is probably the best iteration they've done of that.
Most of the weapons feel quite fun. There's you start off with just a sword, but then you've got fists, you've got a bow, you've got a gun, you've got a shield that's really cool, like a Captain America type shield. But then they've all got variants on them, and as you upgrade them with various boons as well, they become very different. So the bow, for instance, you can change it from being a charged shot that goes a long distance to being a very short range rapid fire thing, and it really changes how it feels to play as you move through the dungeon and get upgrades, because you get so many different modifiers to your weapon, to your movement, to your cast, which is a ranged attack that you've always got access to that you can shoot out. That has many different variants as well. There's summons later in the game and stuff as well.
Yeah.
So it feels very different.
I have a question which is very important to this kind of game. Where does it lie on the grindometer, being a roguelike game with some aspect of permanent progression?
So there's a lot of grind. I think this game is designed to have
This
a lot
game
of
is
grind.
grind, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think they put a lot of dressing on the grind that makes it interesting. Like you're in like 50 hours, like you're never kind of coming across like characters talking and stuff where like you're not getting new dialogue and like further exposition.
Also, this game has an actual ending, right? Like,
Yes,
if you beat it
yes,
10
it
times,
does.
you win.
Yeah, you get a nice little treat, and you get another one of those super giant songs that I'm Darren Korb. You do great, but like it's never gonna hit like Bastion did.
Bastion was a fucking masterpiece.
The other thing
the music is great, but like it's never going. I don't know if Supergiant has it in them to have another like really good song like that.
The other thing to note about the dialogue as well is it's all fully voice acted, so there's like hours and hours of like dialogue, and the voice acting is very good. Like it gives the characters a lot of personality when they're talking to you.
That's a Supergiant staple.
Yeah, it's good. It's neat. I know you don't really like this Catsman in a roguelike, but you always feel like you're doing something to progress. Even if you're losing runs repeatedly, you always feel like either you're getting stronger or because you got some more nectar to give to one of the gods, you've at least increased your like relationship level with them, which can give you additional unlocks and stuff. So you always feel like you're making progress, even if you don't beat the first boss.
I mean, I don't like that in roguelikes, but that's because that's what comes with the grind.
I'm not sure. I definitely couldn't, like, even knowing what I know about the game, I don't think I'd be able to beat it on like a first run, despite, well, I haven't actually beaten it, but you know, I've got down to like the last 10% of the last boss's health once.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I think definitely it would be very hard to get to the end on your first try in this game, and I think the game expects you to grind a lot. But because of the dialogue trees and everything with it, it keeps the grind more interesting than a lot of roguelikes do.
Okay.
Yeah. Like a lot of times, like, you know, because like with roguelikes, the kind of thing you're saving time on is like, oh, well, I don't have to invest all that much in terms of presentation because there's this emergent quality to everything within the gameplay. Like, you know, that's what's going to kind of pique your interest. And this like goes heavily on the presentation side. That and I think that's how it manages to stay interesting.
The criticism I guess I'd have for it is enemy variety seems quite low, and like room variety, you're going to be seeing a lot of the same stuff over and over again. It's not got as much variety in like the rooms you go into as many roguelikes do. So whereas it makes up for the grind on kind of having all this dialogue that you're learning more about the world and its characters, you lose out on the fact that runs can start to feel kind of samey, although it does things to mix up the bosses and mini bosses and stuff as you move on. Like as you get stronger, it starts giving you stronger mini bosses, and it starts augmenting and changing the bosses in the first couple of worlds as well. So
yeah, it's a good game.
I'm gonna stop you there because I think we've had 10 minutes on that, and I'm gonna throw open the floor now. There's a bunch of games in here that we haven't talked about, and if anybody wants to, you know, yell a few words about them into the void, then go nuts.
I'll cross off a Plague Tale Innocence because I don't want to think about it anymore.
Frog Fractions 2 is really good. We played the first one for the book club. The second one is weird and a lot higher effort, but it's still very funny.
Grounded. Play it in 3 years.
Grounded.
Don't play it now, play it in 3 years when they finish making it.
I'd agree. Like, we went hard into Grounded. We were like, this is going to be cool. And we played it for like an hour, and we got to the end of the story content, and it was like, oh, so now there's nothing to do.
Yeah, it's just bad.
Like, you can still, it's
Where
like,
open
world
Obsidian?
crafting, like, but if I go and I open world craft for hours, like, I'm going to be too strong when the story content comes out, and also I don't really want to make a base. I want a reason to explore this environment. I don't just want to do it because it's there, you know?
Ooblets.
Okay.
Blissful. Just bliss. So, it's not finished, but it's very cute, and I've accidentally played it till 3 a.m. when it came out. and I don't really do that because I go to bed at 10. They just released the Nullware update. Each update, it's not a lot of story content, but if you just want to zone out and farm for cute little creatures, it's immaculate.
Is it another chore game?
Yes. It's another chore game.
Cross that one off the mental list of games I have to care about.
Yeah, it's not for you.
It's not for you.
It's not for you.
That's okay.
I was going to talk about Kentucky Route Zero, which I beat today.
Oh,
you beat that today.
Dude, no spoilers. I'm like halfway through it.
Oh, no spoilers. Just if you're into walking simulators, it is probably the best one.
Okay, what's it called?
Wait. What about Outer Wilds?
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
That's not a walking simulator.
That's not really a walking simulator.
That's not a walking simulator at all.
Kentucky Route Zero is actually you walk around and talk to people and read. Like that's what you do. It's extreme. It's a really good how do I put it? It's a virtual short story collection with really good visual composition. It's about abandoned places and obsolete tech.
I do
great
like
dialogue
abandoned places.
With tons of branching dialogue as well.
A great picture of kind of like Appalachia and weird leftover kind of parts of America that very good presentation.
Catman, you like Twin Peaks and old computers. You are the target audience for this game.
Yes,
oh really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, guess I'll download that.
And the benefit of it over, say, going to the library in real life is, at the library you can walk around and read stuff, but you're dissuaded from talking to people.
Whatever. That's all I wanted to say.
Do you want to pay some lip service to Barrow Trauma?
I've still only played one game of it.
I haven't played it, but that's like another one of those kind of like hey, we're all on a ship and we have to work together things.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, we played it for the book club and talked about it then.
Oh, did we? Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Forget it then. Forget it. Ignore.
Annoyingly realistic.
But
I
yeah,
like it.
You can tell
Barrow
it was
Trauma
made by guys on 4chan.
is good.
It's well made, but it's just too realistic.
You know, coming back to guys on 4chan, right? Me and Moog and Mitch were talking about this yesterday because we were playing Smash Bros. And Steve in Smash Bros.
Speed.
The biggest demographic shift of video game history is that Minecraft went from a game for guys on 4chan to a game for 8-year-olds.
Totally.
I think there's more of an overlap between those groups than you think.
I was going to say that. Basically the same thing.
Oh, can we talk about Steve in Smash? He is a terribly designed character, honestly, because
I like
they made this character for children, like kids like Minecraft. This is paying lip service to them, because we got, our generation got Terry Bogard and Banjo-Kazooie and all the shit that kids don't know. So this is their character, and he's way more complicated than anyone else.
Have you played as him, though?
Yeah, I have.
I don't think he's at that... he looked very complicated when he was shown off, but he's not that bad. You mine, and then you craft your best item, and then it's you're going. It's a little bit of more micromanagement than a lot of the characters, but he's not that much more complicated, I don't think. You can ignore it. Kids are going to ignore it and just slam on the C stick anyway, aren't they?
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
I think Steve in Smash Bros is fun and funny, and Mitch has really gotten into him. Mitch has been playing, he's been hardlining Steve. He's forgotten how to have fun with the other characters because he's having so much fun with Steve now.
I think Steve in Minecraft is good because it made Sakurai sad.
Oh, it was so funny. It was so funny watching the announcement because you could see in his face that he hated it. I didn't want to do this, but here's Steve. He basically said that in so many words.
It's karma for Smash Brothers Brawl, you fucker.
The funny thing is, though, so much effort and work has been put into making Steve authentic to his game and something important, like Banjo-Kazooie and who else?
Banjo-Kazooie are pretty good. And
they're
pretty
all right,
authentic.
but they're
got all the moves.
So basic compared with Steve. The amount of shit
Well,
that goes into
the thing
Steve.
is, it's such a different game. How do you make it not basic if you're going to try and keep it true to the feeling of what Minecraft is? It's got to be completely different. Whereas Banjo-Kazooie, in their game, they have moves that they do, so that really easily translates across. To that game, whereas Minecraft Steve doesn't.
Does it need to translate across? Playing DK in Smash is not like playing Donkey Kong Country.
That's true.
Yeah, you're not
but
rolling through everything.
DK64.
No, because otherwise you'd have a coconut gun which fires in spurts, and if he shot you, it would hurt.
And the camera would be in a different place.
Is
And
Diddy
you'd
Kong as bad
randomly
as he
have
is
to
in
change
DK64?
into Diddy Kong in order
Diddy
to
Kong's
like...
really annoying to
Yeah,
play
Diddy
against.
Kong is a little fuck in
Fuck his
Smash
jetpack.
Bros.
There's something
yeah,
about
the
small
jetpack and the
monkeys,
peanut
you know?
gun. What other small monkeys do you hate?
Fucking Mimi and
The super
Ai.
monkey ball ones.
Whoa,
yeah.
excuse me, they're
Little
nice.
little monkey shit.
He is a little monkey shit, but-
Somebody Amigo, is he a monkey?
No, he's an amigo.
What is that?
Friend.
Isn't it like Mexican video game culture month or something?
So
Maybe?
Guacamole forever then.
Guacamole.
No, let's not talk about it on podcast. But I want to talk about
What?
Twitch's big fuck up right at the start of the month with that,
Go on, do it.
because they were doing like Hispanic Heritage Month celebration thing, and they made emote modifiers. Did any of you guys hear about this or
I
see
didn't
them?
know.
No,
I thought
no.
They're-
I'm
they're-
not copied into this.
They're
is
yet.
it just
emote modifiers,
sombreros
yeah.
and like Mexican
Yeah,
mustaches?
it was like sombreros and maracas and shit like that, and loads of people were like, this is so fucking racist. And they like a day later were like, sorry, we missed the mark.
Everything the Twitch staff does is just kind of cringy. Like,
Doesn't
I don't
matter.
know
It,
how
like,
they've
it
gotten
do-
this far.
They will not have taken a fucking
No,
financial hit from
not
that
at all.
bullshit.
It was literally just like, yeah, we missed the mark. Sorry, guys. But I was like, do you know?
it's like the same thing. I mean, it is like a variation, basically, on like that outrage farming thing, where it's like yeah, we're gonna be intentionally embarrassing because that leads people to talk about us, so it's free advertising.
No,
But-
they're not
But no one,
intentionally
apparently
embarrassing.
none of you guys saw this except for me, because it was a very quick turnaround thing, I guess, before they took them down. But oh my god, who would even approve that?
I don't know. Maybe they had like one Mexican guy on their staff, and he was like, "Yeah, whatever."
Maybe it's just like
Do you think Kojima asks a woman before he like?
no,
Oh.
and that's why
no.
that's why he's a piece of shit.
I don't think he even asks a man, dude. I don't think he even asks himself,
He
dude.
doesn't.
I like how he's like, I've got this fancy body scanner thing, so I'm gonna pick a particularly like hairless man or someone with very little body hair, so it doesn't have to model all that much. And yeah, Norman Reedus was a perfect fit, just with his patchy beard. You can see every single one of Norman Reedus's hairs.
But from the neck down,
Yeah, no, from the neck down too. Yeah.
is it?
No, yeah, just very sparse like chest hair, very sparse leg hair. Yeah.
They got Jeff Keighley's dick is modelled in that game.
Yep.
What?
Jeff
Oh.
Keighley's in the
His
game.
I can't
They-
tell if you're joking or not.
His
That's
penis.
the disturbing thing.
They got Jeff Keighley in, and because Kojima's friends with him, Kojima was like, Jeff,
Show
I
me your
want you
Venezuela.
in my game. Get in my body scanner and take off your clothes. And so Jeff Keighley, his entire because Kojima's not going to model someone without their genitalia. He needs to
True.
know that the package is secure. So. He would have got Jeff completely naked in that body scanner, and so Jeff Keighley's dick is probably wait for the. But I'm gonna go look up some SFM.
Right, wait for the
right now.
data mining.
Yeah,
exactly.
data mining will prove it. Let me find the models.
Once again, Kojima is like Tarantino, is that he insists on putting his own sexual hang-ups in his works.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that is the thing. Like, and I'm sorry, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was actually like it was a good movie. I was compelled by it. Like, it's problematic. It's got like a bunch of fucking things that are
How many
that are
toes are in it?
problematic.
So here's the thing
so
about
many toes. Now he's
here's the
into
thing
dirty
about-
toes.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is it's a good film, and it arguably pays tribute to like somebody who was killed by a weird cult. But halfway through the film, that person is shown like taking their shoes off for no reason and just like putting their feet in the camera in the least subtle way possible.
Yeah, he's into
And
dirty
it
toes
just
now.
seems like kind of disrespectful to the dead
Yeah,
to
yeah.
fetishize their feet. I'm just
But-
saying, Quentin.
Oh, yeah.
Look, you're a famous movie director, Quentin Tarantino. You don't have to listen to me,
Taranto.
but I'm right.
it's the same thing with Kojima. Like,
Yeah, I mean, in
he's got his
Kojima's
fucking
game-
hang-ups. He's fucking weird.
Kojima is
but-
obsessed with piss. You can piss whenever, like the amount of Monster
Yes.
Energy drink you drink in Death Stranding, you can piss for days. And if
Yes.
you piss enough, it makes a mushroom, and you can piss on that mushroom to make that mushroom bigger. What does a
Yes.
mushroom look like? Looks like a dick. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, also though, when you find other porters, you can load your piss into grenades, and then you can give them to other people because if you are attacked by the BTs, like the people coming out of the tar, you can whip your dick out
You can
and piss
piss
on
on
them,
them.
and they get scared.
They get scared. They don't like your piss because
Just like
you're a
dominance.
what's
You're
it
a-
called? You're a
You're a
repatriate.
repatriate.
Because you're repatriated, you have magic piss that stops the ghosts.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about that part of the story, and I
yeah,
wish I'd never remembered.
it's fucking awesome.
You can also throw your shit and your blood at them, I think.
Yes.
This is a fucking 6-year-old writing a story.
Yes, it is. You didn't play long enough to get to Heartman.
I did.
Where,
Oh,
yeah,
the one
where,
who dies like every 20 minutes.
Yeah, he dies
Yes.
every 20 minutes, and it's just so Kojima can talk about how you can do almost anything in 20 minutes, and like there's a bunch of short films that you can get into.
Yeah, Heartman goes back through his like silent film collection from like the early 1900s or something, and it's just like, hey, here's
Yeah.
all the films I like to
my-
watch.
Yeah,
You ever
can
read the
borrow
comic-
one.
You ever read the comic Axe Cop, where it's an elementary school kid writing a story that a professional cartoonist draws?
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
this sounds like.
They adapted it into an animated show where Nick Offerman plays the Axe Cop.
That's awesome. I love Nick Offerman.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Actually,
like,
you remind me of him, Mike.
I can't hold a candle to that level of like a famous celebrity daddies. But I appreciate it. So he's next to a giant heart-shaped lake. His heart is deformed, so it actually is
It
shaped like
looks
a heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're talking, it's like, do you want to see Hotman's hot-shaped heart? And it's just showing the X-ray of it, just bulging, like beating like a cartoon heart inside of his chest. And he's also a really nice person.
And then what he does is he like invites you around his house for tea. You're in the middle of tea with him, and then he gets on his bed, dies for 20 minutes, and you just sit there and drink tea while he's dead for 20 minutes until he
Yes.
wakes up and shows you out.
And there's a little record player playing dun dun da 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 da. Like, yeah, it's stupid. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. But like,
Man,
I would rather live in a world with Death Stranding than a world without it.
Man, now I get what it feels like for Shiny when I try to explain the story of Metal Gear. It's the same
Yeah,
thing.
I've played how many of those games now, and I still am just as
4.
clueless as I was before I played any of them.
You're on your 4th one. No, wait, you
I'm on
beat
my
4,
5th
didn't
one.
you? You're on
Yeah,
your 5th
before I'm
one,
in
yeah.
Piss Walker now.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Peace, yeah, it really started going off the rails there.
No.
Peace
Four-
Walker's got a fairly condensed and understandable story, I
I
think.
like Peace Walker. I
I'm
don't
enjoying
like
Peace
5.
Walker so far. 4 is my favourite one so far.
No.
What?
Yeah, 4. What? Like at the end of 4 when they had the 2020 presidential debates.
4 plays the best.
Yeah, it's
But-
the most fun to play.
It's got
It's-
like no gameplay, so
Yeah, but like the ocelot snake fight, which is like a meme unto itself. Like more of Kojima's also like hang-ups because yes, Ocelot does need to kiss Snake during that.
It's compulsory.
Yeah, it is. It's their connection.
Is 4 the one that's worst for women though?
Yeah, that's the Beauty
4
and the
has
Beast
to be
review.
Yeah,
a
yeah,
beast unit.
That's
5
the
is
worst
quiet.
for women. Oh, 5's quiet, so it gets worse.
No,
Yeah,
you'll-
it does.
I would say
Shiny, you don't know yet. You will regret
I will
your
regret-
words and deeds.
Okay.
I was still-
What?
I was
You're
still
saying
getting
it's
someone at work
objectifying
about-
because she needs to be naked
She
because she
needs to
breathes
breathe
through
through
her
her
skin?
skin.
Listen here. The End is exactly the same character.
He's got a bald head. He can photosynthesize easier.
I want The End, but wearing Quiet's outfit. That's what I want.
I'll get you a picture of that. I'm sure it's been
I-
done.
I have a picture of that. Okay, let's wrap this up. 'Cause I gotta go. I wanna go
Yeah,
make
let's
dinner.
talk about things that are fun. The Baldur's Gate 3 early access. would recommend it.
I'd say buy it when the whole game is out.
Yeah, no, yeah. But if you're excited about that, there's plenty to look forward to.
I think I've said everything I need to say.
Same.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
That was
There we
Lockdown
go.
Games. This will be condensed down into a podcast sometime by me badly. Thank you all
Thanks.
for talking about your lockdown games with me. And I hope that we don't have to reconvene in a year and talk about
Lockdown
the
2.0.
next year's worth of lockdown games.
We will. It's you know it's coming.
I hope I get a lockdown next year. Shit. I've been working off
Oh,
goddamn
yeah.
year. Sweden doesn't believe in lockdowns.
Yeah, it's bad.
I mean, I'm working, but
I mean, the UK doesn't either. We just
Well, we
pretend
had
that we
one.
do.
Sweden didn't have any,
Yeah.
Mm.
and that's why they're all dying. No
what
offense
tier
to you.
lockdown are
That's
you
true.
lads in?
Huh?
Leeds, City of Tears, Tier 2.
We're
Tier two,
medium.
yeah.
Tier 2, that's me too. Tier 2.
I'm only tier 1. Wow, I can go outside. I can go inside to places.
Oh yeah,
like...
yeah, because you guys need like a license to fuck now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My job, like working for like the behavioral health authority, like they let us, stay home and like they actually take the shit seriously. But like,
Nice.
it's the United States, so everything is just broken up into like a bunch of weird little pieces. Like there's just literally just like millions and millions of people who are like, yeah, I'm not changing my behavior at all.
Well, what the UK government have tried to do is implement systems where it makes it like your fault rather than their fault.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Look, it's just
Schools and universities, the prime
CMS.
breeding grounds, stay open.
Yeah, the universities are, I mean, that's why Leeds is in tier 2.
Well, the universities have to stay open so they don't all lose their money and die. Like, my little brother is at university. He hasn't left his dorm
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
weeks because he's got to do all of his like lectures online. It's like he's having to pay to go to
So
something
fucked up.
that's it. It
And
should
it's
make
still
us
full
reevaluate whether
price.
uni is. Yeah, it's not worth the money that they're paying for.
Absolutely
It's
not.
bullshit.
University is would be worth the money if not for the commodification of education and the fact that
That's
universities are basically run as for-profit
Like-
institutions.
Oh yeah, no, they absolutely are, and they're like basically like the United States, it's even worse because like there's Harvard, which is a place that does put out actually like good research and stuff, but there's also the other side of Harvard, which is basically just like rubber stamping like rich kids
Yeah.
to from like influential like families. Like George W. Bush went to fucking Harvard. Bullshit influence peddling thing. I did feel briefly good for like 3 days when Trump got coronavirus.
Oh, I
Like
was
that-
so.
Nah, he didn't get it. That was a publicity
Do you think it
stunt.
was?
No.
It felt so nice.
I don't think he would do it as a publicity stunt because it's effectively just admitting that he was wrong.
Yeah, that's true. But
Yeah.
then that's what Boris did. Do you think he actually had it?
Yes.
don't.
I think Boris had it. Yeah.
Mm.
I think Boris had it and it sobered him up for like a week and then afterwards he
Then
went
he
back to
forgot.
his normal
Afterwards,
idiot
he
self.
became the poster boy for weight loss. Did you see the thing where he was like, while I was in hospital with coronavirus, I realized
fat.
that I had to lose a lot of weight, and now I walk the dog. That's
Do you
what
want
he
to know
said.
some behind the scenes Johnson drama?
Go on. Why do you have
Right.
behind?
Yeah, how
the
do you
scenes
have
Johnson
behind the
drama?
Hey, this is post-production Catsman here. Unfortunately, due to a technical error, the recording cut off at this point. But the gist of it is, Shiny told a really funny story about a friend of hers and how they operate the Boris Johnson puppet that they use for like public appearances and stuff, and about how like that time he went to hide in a freezer was from when the hydraulic thing that operated his mouth stopped working and they had to come in and fix it. And how some of the people who worked on the project, they put that they were working on an unannounced Thunderbirds project on their CV, because obviously you can't tell people you're operating the Boris Johnson puppet. And they almost got found out by adult Thunderbird fans. Anyway, yeah, that's how it was. Okay, back to the recording.
We are
That
now.
you could potentially get sued for. Just send in a message to me and I'll say it.
Instead, I'll preface it with no copyright infringement was intended by uploading the third season of Family Guy to YouTube.
Just ask it. Just pretend it's a video essay.
Look,
Those go on for hours now.
it's a competition to see who can come up with the longest video essay about nothing.
That guy who I think
It's
that
that
guy who
Garfield
did
one.
the Witcher 2 one that was like fucking 5 hours. And actually, like I put it on in the background like while I was working, and like there's actually like jokes and edits in there. Like it's like 5 hours.
Well, like all the way
content.
through the 5 hours, or is it just
Yeah.
concentrated towards the first hour or so?
No, all the way through.
Jesus.
Every fucking time. Like he's
Imagine
showing.
having the stamina.
I know it stopped being sad and started being like genuinely interesting.
I feel like that's called Stockholm Syndrome. Like, there is a name for that.
As Mr. Psychology himself, I will tell you that I'm perfectly healthy.
As Mr. Psychology, is there actually such a thing as Stockholm Syndrome, or is
No.
it one of those things that people made up?
No,
A man made it up.
Yeah,
it's bullshit.
It always is.
Based on a specific situation about bank heists, that one of the bank tellers, one of the women who was there, basically, this is obviously a very condensed thing, but said that she didn't trust the police as much as she trusted the people who were doing the heist, because the police were actively not respecting the risk that the people who were hostages were under. Like, they were doing loads of reckless shit. This is after the fact that she said this about the police. Like, they put us in danger. They didn't look after us. So some psychologist who had never met this woman, never spoken to this woman, made up a diagnosis about her developing romantic feelings for the people that were holding them hostage, because he was trying to protect the police force, essentially.
Yeah, it's basically like Drapetomania all over again. You guys remember that one?
No.
Nope.
All right, so Drapetomania is this weird condition that many African Americans got, where while enslaved, they had this compulsion to run away. This psychological compulsion to for some reason to run away, and yeah, it's basically like it's attempting to pathologize and systematize a rational response to a situation. You on your own can say identify with a captor or someone who's trapping you. Like that's actually how a lot of abusive relationships work. That people are able to get away with more and more shit because of the level of trust someone has in them. Yeah.
I feel like I'm learning a lot of stuff today.
It's psychology time. Well, most of my job is basically helping people navigate like what it is to be poor in the United States. Like, I don't get to do a lot of actual counseling. When I do, it's always exciting because it's like, oh, hey, here's what I actually got my degree in. But no, most of the time it's like, how do I help you find housing?
Imagine using your degree.
I know, right? I
was about to claim that I used my degree, but I actually don't.
What is your degree?
Physics.
You used it more than I've used mine, surely.
I probably used it more.
You use your physics degree every time you open a door, damn, dude, you don't know how it's going to swing, but you do. You fucking...
I don't, actually, and I almost fall down my own stairs every day, because I get up out of bed just straight up, 90 degrees, like a zombie coming out of a casket or whatever, and I walk down the stairs before all the blood has rushed back to my brain.
Yeah, see, that's why you got to get those CEUs, man. You got to get those continuing education credits, man. Use it or lose it.
I use
That's
my
a-
degree.
Yeah, yeah, you do.
I have a degree in psychology, so I guess I use that every time I think.
I don't
got
get
a
it.
degree in music and I work in retail.
Yeah, but a degree in music is culturally enriching
No, it's fucking not.
and providing the what am I going to call this? The university industrial complex for the sustenance it needs to continue paying the VP of my university a 6-figure salary for doing dick all.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I have a quick question for a game that you brought up very briefly earlier, Mike.
Yes.
No One Lives Under the Lighthouse.
Yes.
Is that a jump scary hide and seek type game? Because it
No.
looks a lot like puppet combo games.
No, it's
Okay.
not. There's a couple of moments that are kind of jump scary.
But it's not like
and
hide and
seeky.
seek.
It's more like run away.
But-
You're being chased.
But
Good.
is it like realistic and able to get away situation, or is it you're going to get fucking caught? Okay, because I like puppet combo games conceptually and the way that they look, but it's so much just like once you get caught, you can't get away essentially. So that's what's always kind of put me off of them.
I was pretty skeptical of the whole like haunted PS1 genre to begin with, but like this, it actually does a good job. Something that was absolutely miles above that, and it's one of the greatest games I've ever played. I played it again recently. Pathologic 2.
I still haven't played Pathologic 1.
I want that game.
You
I
don't
need
need
to
to.
play
You
it?
don't need to. You don't need to.
Okay.
It's a retelling of Pathologic 1, and it is like it's gorgeous. It's bizarre and like abstract. There's a lot of like fourth wall breaking. But yeah, just mechanically, it's very horrifying and like and stressful because like you never have enough food, you never get enough sleep. Like it's just like
Is it
12.
is it that in a frustrating way though?
No,
Okay.
it's very compelling in that way. Like the kind of like opportunity cost of like I am going to miss this part of the story during this playthrough because I am, I'm starving or like. I'm thirsty or I need to sleep. The infected districts are incredibly menacing. Music's great. Like in general, yeah. I wish fucking
Ice Pick Lodge.
Ice Pick Lodge. Yeah, I wish they had like some like grant or something from the Russian government because like no, they like that is genuinely like. It's a game that would not get made otherwise. I feel like.
I think it was kickstarted.
Yeah, it was.
So yeah, it is peak of like the RT Russian game genre.
Well, here's the thing, though. It has like walking simulator vibes, like very much like a kind of like abstract story. It's told in a very kind of obtuse way, but it is dense mechanically. Like,
does it make you feel like a fucking genius when you figure out what's actually happening?
No, it makes you feel scared and desperate.
Cool.
The thing is,
it's a misery simulator.
I don't need any stressful games right now. Like, when my life is less stressful, then maybe I'll play a stressful game, I say, hoping that if I say it enough, it will come true.
Haha.
What else was there? Wasteland 3 makes me feel like I just watched the season finale for Breaking Bad. Everything about it feels like this weird fucking throwback, and it was nice to like pretend I was in like 2012 for like a week. Because there's like an edgy cover of "Are You Washed in the Blood of the Lamb?" It's kind of country, it's kind of rock, factions. That's a big thing that's kind of fallen out of just it's like it's super important that my game has factions in it. And like collections of people under like an ideology. It makes fun of Ronald Reagan, which is also a very dated thing these days.
Mate, making fun of Ronald Reagan is evergreen.
I mean, no, he does suck, and it was really funny how he was going crazy while he was in office. But
now,
like
that's the one ape that I will let off the hook, the one that tried to kill Ronald Reagan.
I think I see people making fun of Ronald Reagan most days.
yeah, no, I think it's in the way that they do it because it feels very like Bill Hicks. Or
is it
like,
more like haha he lost his mind rather than haha he's fucking dead, fuck that guy?
Yeah, it's haha, he lost his mind.
Okay, because that's not as
because-
funny.
Yeah, because there's a cult of people called the Gippers, and like the highest ranking members are called Nancy. It also does like the kind of like late 80s machismo thing, but they're kind of winking at it, and that's sort of like what the original Wasteland was like born out of. But yeah, it was a good distraction. I went in a time machine for a little bit.
To the far off year of 2012.
Hold on.
That
let me
none
find
of
it.
us appreciated when it was happening to us.
Why would I have appreciated 2012?
The world didn't
Listen
end.
to this, and it's
Oh,
2012.
shit, fucking.
So have the laws of your country been amended, and am I free to talk shit about Jacob Collier here?
Who?
Huh?
I don't know who that is.
He's this fucking musician on YouTube, and he's very technically skilled and stuff, but his just voice sounds like shit.
We could,
He
Oh.
overjazzes stuff.
Okay, since none of us have heard of him, though, we don't
Yeah.
care.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's lots of musicians like that.
Ed
You ever
Yeah.
listen to
Sheeran.
Weird Al Yankovic?
He's-
Fuck
he's
that
got-
guy.
So much skill, but I hate his voice so much.
I cannot
Oh, his voice
stand
is so
Weird
bad.
I
Al.
used to love Weird Al as a kid.
I hate
Fair.
hearing him.
Oh, I'll be right back.
And I hate seeing him because I hate hearing
Why
him.
do you hate Weird Al so much?
He just pisses me off.
What pisses?
He just
Is
pisses
this-
me off.
Do you
I
just
hate-
have an
like you said-
incredible, irrational
Yeah,
dislike of Weird
basically.
Al?
I just hate how he sounds. I think it's such lowbrow fucking humor as well. Like, yeah, it's clever that you've managed to change the lyrics of this song, but like, is it actually funny?
I'm fascinated by the idea of the style parody, which is making an original song in the style of another musician.
I mean, but other people can do that. He's not the only man that can do that.
No.
No.
But you have to put a lot of thought into it. You
Yeah,
have to
but
approach
is it
other
good?
people's music
Is it
with
funny?
not really,
because
no.
he sounds like a top. Like, there's nothing technically wrong with his voice, but it
yeah,
pisses
there is.
me off to
There
hear
is
it.
there is something wrong with his voice.
Is it shit?
It's bad for singing.
It
That's
makes
the
me
problem.
angry. That's what's wrong with it.
I don't hate Weird Al Yankovic.
I do. He sounds like he thinks he's clever, you know?
I'm not sure about that.
It's all right to be clever, but when you think you're clever, that's a problem. Fuck Weird Al. I've seen this child, Jacob Collier, but I don't know
Yeah.
why I've seen him.
It's part of that like music theory YouTube
But I don't.
that is weirdly populated.
I've probably
I like
seen him in like my
music theory
recommended,
YouTube,
but never watched
I've-
him because
but
he looks
I've
annoying.
never seen this guy before.
No.
Yeah, no, he's like the he gets a lot of acclaim there. Mainly, like he did like a version of like in the Bleak Midwinter where he does like a key change that is it's like a 3/4 step.
But
Like he does a microtonal key change.
is there any need for that?
Oh, is this the whole thing of like, I'm going to cover a song, but I'm going to ruin it by trying to be too clever about it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Right.
like
know exactly the genre.
I fucking hate, especially when they do that to hymns or like early medieval music, because like the thing that works about that is that it's you know there's not a lot of harmony, and that it's a pure kind of melody that stands on its own.
I wish I could give you an opinion on medieval music.
Other than that, it's fucking cool.
Yeah, if you're looking for a composer that does like a lot of that stuff, and he's also a very good violin player, Ivan Kang,
How's that spelled?
EYVINDKANG.
Okay, that is in no way what I thought this name was. I thought you said Ivan Cum. I would
That's
have
it.
pronounced this as Avind Kang.
Here's the thing, though.
I've said
We're all
Avind before, but I've been corrected.
we're all hardwired for cum. That's the problem. We've had so many
Well, no,
conversations about
He
cum.
did say Kang, and for an American, that's how they say cum.
Such thick accent, impossible to understand.
Such thick accent,
Yeah.
even thicker cum. Dense.
It's true. We as a people don't drink as much water as we should.
Gotta squeeze it out like a froob.
Oh no!